Welcome back to the final reaction stream before we go to the World Cup and the final FPL stream until, let's say, Boxing Day. So we've got quite a long break, but there will be World Cup fantasy content, and there are already 2 videos on my channel, the how to play guide and also the first draft video, where a lot can change, of course. And once the website updates, I think it's tomorrow, you will be able to make transfers, and also there should be more players added to the game, such as Emiliano Martinez. But let's talk about game week 16 and then looking ahead to game week 17, where obviously we have such a long break, but we can already make unlimited transfers. But yesterday was the final day, or should I say overnight, was the final day of price rises and falls. Now the market will be locked, so you don't need to worry about gaining any kind of team value because the prices will be locked. So we'll talk about that in future videos as well. And I am looking to make, let me know if you want to see this in the live chat, we're looking to make a Game Week 17 unlimited transfer squad and what I'm looking to build potentially for my own team. But welcome to everyone. It's good to see some of you here in the chat already. And like I said, this will be the final FPL stream for quite some time. But don't worry, there's still going to be more FPL content, just a bit more sparse. And there's obviously going to be a lot more World Cup stuff, as well as UCL Fantasy when the time comes. Good to see you, FPL Josh as well. Good to see you. Also Christian Ewan, who says, hi everyone. Hope you all had a good game week. Very disappointing score of 48 points. Tony on the bench as first sub and Haaland captain over Kane. Hoping to use World Cup break to assess my squad and kick on. I do feel for you with Tony because a lot of us would have sold him already. And if not, those that had him mainly benched him. I know someone personally who benched Tony. I even saw, one of the worst benches this season with 45 points, with the likes of Ward, Odegaard and Tony on their bench. So look, these things can happen. I don't really blame you too much. If it wasn't Man City, I would have started Tony pretty much against anybody. But because it's Man City, you would kind of fancy him to blank, really. Or if he did score, it would only be 1 goal and it wouldn't hurt you too much. As for Haaland, captain over Kane, I don't think it's too bad because most of us would have gone for him anyway. Welcome another Hoops as well. Another absolute shocker of a week, depending on what the World Cup brings. What are your thoughts on setting up for a bench boost in Game Week 17? That's an interesting one. I don't think I'll be looking to do that. I'm actually going for a kind of squad structure where I have 1 bench fodder option, as I tend to do generally. At the moment, if you can see my team right now, I could pretty much play any single one of these feasibly, except Doherty because he's now not starting. Otherwise, it would be a different story. But because of that, I'm not looking to use the bench boost just yet. I'm going to use it in a double game week probably later in the season. Welcome Supreme Sport, 56 points, poor. I mean, it could have been worse though. And in my case, I got 51 and I got a small green arrow from 1.2 million to 1.1. So literally 150,000 places, something like that, 151 maybe. So not great, but at least I got a green arrow to kind of end the first half of the season, which has been shocking for me personally, but it's all relative. And there you go. Garnacho was the punt. Yes, but he didn't even start the game, which I thought he would. And look, fair play to those of you that went for him. I know a lot of people were kind of talking about him going into the deadline stream, but I still preferred the likes of Martial and Rashford as punts. It didn't work out. I still would prefer them though, to be honest. Yeah, Garnacho differential going forward. Yes, it looks like it. And I think you'll have a bigger part to play for Man United in the years to come for sure. Shama couldn't stretch from Firmino to Nunez. Well done, all who did. Yeah, Harry, I was in a similar position as well. So I could only afford Nunez in for Wilson, and I had just about enough money to do it. I couldn't do Mitrovic up to Nunez, unfortunately, which was what I was looking to do, but of course I couldn't do it. In the end, it was really close because of that, and I decided to go to Nunez. So if it wasn't for that, I think I would have had a pretty awful week, actually, and I would have got another red arrow. People doubted Darwin's theory, trust the process. Yeah, I mean, he's got a much better goal scoring record than Jesus, for example, and he's also got a decent record per 90. Probably one of the best, actually, in the league. Captain Darwin this week, fair play, mate, and it's a really big advantage over those that Captain Haaland like myself. Yes, Nabil, there's already 2 videos on World Cup Fantasy, so be sure to check that as well. The best goalkeeper for Game Week 17 and onwards. I think it's down to a few names. Nick Pope is always a good option. You can't go wrong with him. Another one would be Danny Ward, of course. I think you just have to have him as your second goalkeeper. And also Kepa Arrizabalaga, if he's back fit, available in time for the Boxing Day matches. I think Chelsea play on the 27th of December. Then I would go for Kepa potentially. And at the moment, kind of a bit of a spoiler, you could say, I do have Kepa in my draft. I think it enables you to improve other areas and perhaps go for a freemium. But that's all I'm going to say on it for now. Going to include some ultra differentials, fun picks in my draft for when the game resumes. Border flip-flopping between small greens and small reds every week. I do understand your frustration, Harry. I've been in a similar position all season, really. But there's also ways of getting consistent green arrows through just going for a settled team, players that you can trust, they've done the business all season, and they also have the underlying numbers and the performances that indicate they will continue to do so. But I do get what you mean, and sometimes just going for some punts can be fun and also rewarding. So I hope it goes well for you, Harry, and as long as you enjoy the game, that is the way to go. Welcome, S. Kelly, as well. Good to see you. Just had my worst game week with 33 points. Wow, I mean, I do feel for you as well. I do feel for you. Everyone has these sorts of weeks. I had something quite similar last week. Maybe in terms of points, it wasn't too shabby, but in terms of the 50-50 calls that went the other way, that's what really hits you the most. But don't worry, we've got a long break. There's a long time to recover, and you can also do a really good job. Thank you, Nuisance, for the feedback. I will be looking to do Unlimited Team. I'm not sure when, but hopefully within the next few days before I think most people will switch off FPL. Hi Dylan, Kepa injury state. We don't need to worry about this too much for now. He will be injured, I think, for quite some time in terms of we're talking about days and weeks. I'm actually not so sure, you can correct me on this, if he's in the World Cup squad. I will still be doing more research and looking at all the players that are added tomorrow in the game. But Kepa should be fine in time for Game Week 17, which is what's important in FPL. And at the moment, he is in my squad. 50 this week. Who do you think is the best goalkeeper to have after the World Cup? So yeah, we literally just covered that. So let me know your thoughts on that. FPL boring nowadays. I think it's all relative. I personally would agree slightly. I think it has been more interesting in the years gone by because we had so many good kind of choices. You could go for Vardy as a differential, as a one-week punt. Right now, it kind of seems we're all captaining the same player. We also have a really similar structure. We all kind of stacked up on Arsenal, Newcastle and City. And there's not really much kind of room to go differential. Even with me, I went for Nunez, and it was one of the best transfers I made all season, but all it did was give me a small green arrow, and it wasn't really enough to propel me up. But to be fair, it's kind of a mixture of things. I do get your frustrations, and honestly, I think those that are doing well would disagree, but there you go, it's all relative. Which players went up in price overnight? I think Alisson, Ben White, and there was one more player. I'm not exactly sure who the other one was, but I could check in a little bit. This season has been lame as hell. Yeah, maybe. It's all... for me personally, it has been, but I do understand that some may have enjoyed it so far. Welcome, Kat. What in your childhood made you not like cookies? Trying to cover a bad last week with a technical humor question. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I hate cookies in websites. I actually like cookies overall, and biscuits, whatever you kind of call them. Were players bending over and slacking because they were scared of getting injured for the World Cup? I think some players were kind of holding themselves back. I think some City players were. Not Foden. He was probably the best player for City by some distance. And also Saka, for example, for Arsenal. You know, he was putting in some good dribbles and stuff, but I felt that he could have kicked on a little bit and kicked up a gear, but he didn't really do so. So I think that is a good point. I think some players were kind of holding back for the World Cup. 61 points, decent, but I had 0 captaincy points from the 3 recent game weeks. I'm guessing you captained Cancelo then, just like myself. I feel your pain. Yeah, my recent captaincy choices have been abysmal. Should have gone for Trippier last week. I don't really regret Haaland. I know the only real doubt that crossed my mind with Haaland was the early kickoff. That's literally about it. Shocking week for me, says Bridgerton. Jesus transferring was horrible. Should have gone for Firmino or White. To be fair, though, with Firmino, he just got 6 points, I believe. Ben White as well, but I like Ben White a lot because he's cheap. He's now, I think, 4.7 million, and he's got a bit of bonus for it. I think he got 8 points, actually. He got a few bonus points this time round, so happy to see that. He's been a great transfer for me as well. But like I said, you know, despite some good transfers recently for me, it really hasn't kicked on this season. So I do get what you mean, but don't worry, we've got plenty of time to think about this. Gabriel Jesus is always going to be like this. He's going to be really involved. He helps Arsenal. He elevates the whole team. But in terms of FPL, he's going to always frustrate you. He's not a good finisher. And you're really relying on an assist sometimes because he just can't finish. Best goalkeeper combo, I'm guessing that is Ward and who? I don't think Ward and Iverson is a bad idea at this point in time. Leicester are one of the best defences since Game Week 8, I think it is. I would go for either Pope or Kepa Arrizabalaga at this moment in time that you're asking me, assuming that Kepa is fit. Even though Chelsea are poor at the moment and defensively they leave a lot to be they leave a lot to be desired, I still think Kepa can make a lot of saves. I think he averages 4.4 saves per game, and he also has the potential for bonus points. So I think I would go for Kepa, and the reason why I have him at the moment is because he also is so cheap and he enables you to go for more expensive players and maybe a freemium draft, for example. Ward is the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable because for the first 7-8 game weeks, he got 8 points. And then since then, he's got 52. It's just absolutely mad. And fair play to Rodgers because I think at the time I said he should be sacked and, Wass's obsession with playing Ward, but he stuck with him. And he was insistent that once Leicester kind of fix up defensively, Ward will get the credit he deserves. And, he's been right so far. So fair play to him. Yeah, Bridgerton, same here. I'm ready with a free premium draft. Just unsure between KDB and Diaz or Foden and Salah. You're asking me right now, I think Foden and Salah because Foden is significantly better than Diaz. And as for Salah, KDB is quite close. I think KDB is slightly better this season, but the Foden and Salah duo, in my opinion, is slightly better. Yazan, there's literally 2 videos on the World Cup already. So there's the How to Play guide, which covers everything you need to know. And there's also a first draft video. I can't actually access the website and there's no app. So I wouldn't be able to do content even if I wanted to at this moment. And we're covering FPL right now. So we'll cover FPL today. And we might also do a unlimited transfers team over the next few days. And then we'll look on to do World Cup videos consistently. Let's see what else we have. Did Game Week 17 happen already? Okay, we always get these kind of questions. From now on, I'm not even going to bother. 50-point Game Week, top of the mini league. Good way to end the Green Arrow. Yes, I mean, that's a great way to kind of wrap up the first half of the season. Good stuff. And the mini leagues can sometimes give you a good indication of how your season is going. I'm doing well in my mini league. Not great, but I'm doing well. And even then, it's just, I'm having a bad season. FPL doesn't start again till December 27th, but will Reece James be available for Chelsea next game? I think so. Obviously, the injury can develop. Things can happen, but at this moment in time, I think Reece James should be fine enough to be available for 27th of December, as you said. Haaland has been disappointing me the last couple of game weeks. Yes, even the very best, these kind of robots like Haaland, even they can disappoint sometimes. Don't worry about it. He's still going to be on all of our drafts in Game Week 17. I can't believe people are already looking at Game Week 17 drafts. I'm taking a break. Yeah, fair play, but it's sometimes, you can talk about this, set the discussion, think it over the next month or so, take a break from it, put it to the side, and then come back to it in a month's time. I don't think there's any problem with that. Was deciding between Martial and Firmino before deadline. Ended up going for Martial. I actually was asked this yesterday, and it was really close for me, but I just about went for Firmino. Just a difference of 4 points, isn't it? The main one was Nunez, really. Game Week 12, I was 100k. Now I'm at 500k. Look, it's still not a bad position to be in. I know 500k isn't great, but I think the main reason why you're disappointed is because you went down so much, but still, I think you can turn it around. My best FPL season so far, hit above 100k for the first time. Good stuff, mate. It's great to hear. I want to hear more good stories, let's say, of people doing well, because I know some people are struggling, and myself as well. Like I keep on saying, I've had a bad season as well, but it's good to see some people are having their best and also doing well. Team value is so important in the next free transfers. The thing is, we have unlimited. We don't have any free transfers, so don't worry about team value. The only thing it can really do, obviously, is enable you to go for Kane, Salah, and potentially Haaland, and also you can go for De Bruyne instead of Salah, for example. But yeah, in terms of the unlimited, don't worry about team value too much. You have what you have, and then you can build what you can with it. Rashford did not have a good game. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He did really well against Villa the other day. And I knew it. As soon as I got Rashford in for a -4 last week, it was a mistake. Get Garnacho on the bench. Yeah, he could be a decent option, actually, that you say it. It's between him and Andreas, I think. Bailey's also another one that I was very surprised to see benched this week. Those three are probably the best, around 4.8 million and below. Newcastle double up in defence looks so strong at the moment. Yep, and I'm happy I did that. Obviously, Ward. What was frustrating for me was Trippier and Pope getting yellow cards, and I think, especially in the case of Pope, I just don't really see why the yellow card was issued. But the defence is incredible right now, right up there. So not too shabby. In my opinion, everyone will triple players from Newcastle City and Arsenal. I said the same, but when I built a draft yesterday, I actually had a double up from all those teams, and I also had a few double ups in other squads as well, which I'll talk about in the video. So I think there could be a few differences, but most of us will have 2 or 3 from those teams, as you say. So yeah, everyone in the chat, let Trini know what scores you got. It'll be good to see. How do you do an FPL Cup? I'm not sure, and honestly, I don't really care. I don't even know if I qualified because I did so poorly when I captained Cancelo last week, so I actually haven't checked, Callum. Thoughts on Trent or Robertson moving forward? Robertson has the highest assists in the Premier League from defenders, yeah. I think Robertson right now looks better for sure. Trent does look like a shadow of his former self. I don't know what's happening with him at the moment, and also the positions he's taken up are slightly different compared to seasons gone by. I think he can become a good option once again, of course, but if I had to pick one, it would be Robertson. He's a bit cheaper, and he's also in better form. The only problem with him is Tsimikas, especially when you have the FA Cup, the Carabao, and also the Champions League. So Robertson would be the one, but I actually prefer going for Trippier, Cancelo, an Arsenal defender, United defender, and potentially a few others like Castagna. Thoughts on the sale of Liverpool to Indian billionaire? I actually haven't heard of it. I know a lot of people are linked to taking ownership of Liverpool at the moment, so I can't comment on that. Really happy to get a break after the disappointing start. Nothing better than the World Cup, and hopefully we'll come back stronger. I'm a bit mixed because I've always been excited about the World Cup. It's my favourite competition, but at the same time, it is very strange for it to be in November, December. Obviously, it's all done. There's nothing we can do about it. But there's a lot that can go wrong, and I hope it doesn't. I hope the players can go through it and there aren't too many injuries. But inevitably, I think there will be, even more so than in previous World Cups. Let's hope for the best. And hopefully World Cup fantasy goes well, but more importantly, I want a good World Cup, and hopefully it's all good. Yeah, Caspar, I have no idea if I won. Reece James could be available for Gameweek 17. Yes, he could, but let's wait and see. There's obviously a long time to go before that. When will the World Cup website update the country rosters? I think tomorrow. I heard it was the 14th of November, so it should be tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll let you know in future videos as well. 46 green arrow. There you go. Fair play. At least you got the green arrow. 46, I'd say, is quite an average score this week. Maybe better than the average. I'm going to see what the actual average is before I can really comment on that, but good stuff, mate. If paying out halfway for a mini league would be the halfway point? It's normally Boxing Day in ours, but they're saying not till Gameweek 19 now. Well, this is technically not the halfway point. I kind of mentioned it as that, as the first half of the season. It technically isn't, so you are right in that. But we do get the wildcard available after the unlimited transfers in 17. So that's what I kind of mean. When I talk about first half of the season, I mean in FPL, not in the Premier League, really. In terms of the mini league, I'm not so sure what you can really class it as, to be fair. Yep, prices should be fixed now, Adam. Exactly. First red arrow in 11 weeks. I mean, you can't really complain too much. You're in a good position, Aaron. 136k is a good rank to be in right now. And, you know, green arrows for 11 weeks or so. And then 1 red arrow, it's not the end of the world. It might feel a bit worse because it's the last game week of the season, or of this year, technically, or second last. It's not too bad. And currently 400k is top 10k viable. Yes, it is. And also check livefpl.net. You can see how far away you are from that rank. It's definitely viable. It will be difficult, but it's still possible. Garnacho's Man United's future. Might get him on the bench. There's a lot of different options, though. Bailey is another one that I like. He's been pretty good recently. And also Andres Pereira. But Garnacho, of course, playing in the best team of those three. And he has been really effective for United recently. Not just, I want to say with the goals, really. Obviously, he scored today. But it's mainly with the assists. He can bring a bit of both. And he's a bit of a spark. He's a different player to what United have. Yeah, Bailey and Watkins have illness. Yes, exactly. But just mainly, thank you for the correction on Bailey. I was aware of Wilson. As for Watkins, he's not really someone that crosses my mind, to be honest. Best Martial replacements. You can do unlimited transfers, so he might not be the only one you want to replace. But I'm personally looking to go for 2 premiums up front, potentially. But around the same price for me, it's Mitrovic or Tony still. They're the best ones. Somerville's a good option. Yep, he's another one, Sinui. Another one. A really good option. He's been in fantastic form, and suddenly we have a lot of good budget midfielders. It's been rough for me. Dropped from 200k to 1.3 million in 5 weeks. I do feel for you. You were in a good position, and now you're doing pretty poor, probably. Depending on what you're looking to do as well, by the way. But yeah, I do feel for you. There is obviously a long break, and now we can gather our thoughts and kick on again. But it's still possible to kind of bounce back. But yeah, I do understand your frustration. Who should be the third player for Newcastle? Right now, for me, Almiron and Trippier are the best ones. And then it's between Pope, Botman. yeah, probably those two for the third option. So I would look to double up on Newcastle's defence. I think they're more impressive defensively than going forwards. Ended up with 48 points and a rank of around 50k before the break. Great stuff, Lager. Great position to be in. Really good. And 48 points is a decent score. Just above the average, you could say, depending on where you're at, but good stuff. Thoughts on going triple premium after the World Cup? It's what I'm looking to do, Casper. And you'll see what I'm looking to do as well. Pope or Wilson says, S. Kelly, I know you're asking Supreme Sports, but in my opinion, it would be Pope. Dylan, I'm out of the cup, lost by 2-3 points. It's happened to me before as well. If you've checked through the website, be aware that there could be bonus points yet to be added in, so that could play a part. But yeah, if that's the case, I do feel for you. Will there be a deadline stream during the World Cup? Well, there's not going to be a deadline stream for FPL, of course, but for the World Cup, yes, that's the plan. Garnacho over Andreas. If you're asking me right now, I would favour Garnacho slightly, but I don't think Garnacho will start week in, week out, obviously, as proven today. So there will be some frustrations with him, but he provides a kind of more exciting pick, I'd say, than Andreas, and also breaks the template a little bit. 59 points up to 130k from 210k. Yep, that's decent. Good position and a nice, healthy green arrow. 76 points, add Ward, Trippier, Saliba, Doherty, Foden, Barnes, Odegaard, Almiron, Nunez, Kane, Haaland. You had some really good players in there. Going forwards, Doherty, yeah, you definitely have to sell him, of course. And also, Barnes is someone I don't really like too much. And obviously, big return from Odegaard. Good stuff there. Got a 65 points at this match day and ranked under 200k in the US and around 3.8 million overall. Good stuff, Jared. I hope you keep on pushing on and get the rank you want. 65 points this match day is incredible for me. Definitely a good week for sure. Kane, Haaland, Darwin, essential, but Garnacho, Somerville, OP bench. Oh, yeah. I think that's the thing. We're going to sometimes have some benching headaches, even with some really cheap options like Garnacho and Somerville. So that is a good point. Yeah, I think from Villa, if there's any striker to go to, it would be Danny Ings, or any player, should I say. Danny Ings, Bailey, probably just those two. I don't trust that defence at all, especially with Emery, who's, you know, even with Arsenal, never good defensively. And I don't really trust any Villa defender. Luca Dean is the best going forwards, along with Matty Cash, but I just wouldn't go anywhere near them. Yeah, Perisic is a big avoid for now. I think that's now 8 or 9 1-pointers this season. Just not good enough. I thought he'd be way better. Yes, Trini, the FPL Cup started last week. You had to qualify or have a game week rank of around 8.8 million to qualify. If you want, I can check, because I got this question a lot, really. Today, so I might check, and you can find out now. I will find out as well live whether I actually qualified for the cup and actually went through. Welcome, Alex. I'm doing well as well. What about you? Good to see you as always. Let's see. So yeah, we're kind of catching up to the chat pretty well. So yeah, let's check this FPL Cup. It would be embarrassing if I didn't qualify for it, but it is what it is. So let's bring this up in a new tab. Let's see, so cups, this is how you know I never play this. So leagues and cups maybe, or yeah, I think I have to go to the leagues and cups. Oh wow, I got knocked out last week. Yeah, so no, I got knocked out this week. So I got 49 points, but the person I played got 68. So yeah, I'm out. The title charge is already over. That's great, but that's your answer. I've already lost. That's actually the earliest I've been knocked out in the cup ever. So well done, new record. Solanke was a good option this match day and last match day, but I'm getting rid of him next game week. Yeah, he's just someone that's good for his value. That's about it, you know. And I think long term you want a Mitrovic or Tony, or going for the premiums like Kane and Haaland. I don't think I'd go for Solanke. 42 points with Kane captain and Haaland captain and Kane vice captain. Yeah, I mean, not too shabby. Obviously, the captaincy was disappointing, but everyone had Haaland captain. Best formation in your opinion? It's about the players, but at the moment, I'm looking to a 3-5-2. So I'm looking to go from 3 forwards to 2 and have 1 bench fodder option. So that'll give you an insight into what I'm looking to do going forwards. But that's just my current thoughts. That could change, of course, over the next month or so. My Trippier and Botman double up have worked nicely with the Justin Botman rotation. Might keep Botman and find someone I could rotate. I mean, Botman's only 4.4 million. He is the best defender at his price and below in the game. You know, you're asking me for like kind of the best budget defenders. I think going forwards, Castagna has to be in consideration. Diego Dallo. You're also looking at Ben White and also, as you say, Botman. They're the best ones. And having 2 of those 4 is good enough. And it provides you good squad depth too. Rank jump from 110k to 60k, so pretty much halving your rank, and sometimes that's all you need. That one kind of differential who goes big, like Odegaard. Nunez wasn't the biggest differential, I think, around my rank, but wasn't enough for me to get a significant green arrow, but it's good to see that it did in your case. I took a hit to sell Tony to DCL when Tony gets suspended. Next week, DCL gets injured, and I had to take a hit to get him out. Peak FPL. It is what it is sometimes, but what I would say is that players like DCL, Callum Wilson, they are kind of injury prone. I know Wilson was ill, but he always has these kind of problems, and he's not a reliable FPL option going forwards, in my opinion. When can you use any chip in the World Cup Fantasy? You can't use the wildcard in match day 1, and this goes for any fantasy game like FPL or UCL Fantasy in the first match day when you get unlimited transfers. As for the Power Captain and 12th man, you can use it whenever. You can use it whenever, but only once. Kane versus Salah versus De Bruyne after the World Cup. In my opinion, Salah. I think Kane's the most consistent of the three. I think he'd be the first name of the three. I do get what you mean, and Salah has some great fixtures, and he has showed some really good form over the last month, but I'd probably say Kane. I'd rank it in the way you basically said it. Kane, Salah, De Bruyne at the moment, but they're all great. Somerville, just a gem. I've just left the Fulham ground, but we played great, and Garnacho was phenomenal. Yeah, he made the difference, of course, towards the end. United had plenty of chances, and they probably, when I watched the game anyway, I didn't see the whole game. I've probably watched 50, 60 minutes of it. United deserved the victory from what I saw. They had plenty of chances. Eriksen missed a golden opportunity. Martial, Rashford, and yeah, Garnacho obviously kind of made a difference at the end. Fulham obviously kind of missed that presence of Mitrovic up front, but it is what it is, and they're still competitive. My main concern with them is defensively. They're always going to leak goals, and they have to score a lot to basically get results. Got 71 points, good stuff. Took a 1 week punt as I had one free transfer before the World Cup. Got Tavernier in from Bournemouth, and he got 14 points. I actually heard someone mention him yesterday. I think they said, should I do billing to Tavernier? And I said no. So I did get some stuff wrong yesterday, but I have also actually noticed I was saying a few things like, surprisingly enough, I said Nunez I think will score a brace or something. I don't know. Sometimes you get lucky with these predictions, but it's good to see you got it with Tavernier. Really good stuff. 14 points. Welcome, Genius Gamer. Good to see you as always. Got knocked out also. My opponent had 45 points, me 42. Yeah, my loss was more comprehensive, to be fair. 35 points. Gaeta, Trent, Trossard, Zaha, Salah, Wilson, Jesus, Haaland. Yeah, Thomas, that's a good team. It's not the greatest, you know, players like Gaeta, I'm not a big fan of, but they had a good fixture this week. And, you know, if you asked me how many points am I going to get this week, I probably would have said 60, 70. But, you know, football and FPL isn't played on paper. It is what it is. But going forwards, you can get rid of some of these weak links in your team like Zaha, Gaeta, Callum Wilson, etc. 68 points, big first opponent, yeah. He might not even be doing that well, but he just had that really good week. It could be that. I haven't checked. New cup record, yeah? I mean, come on, man. We're setting records here. How do I check the cup? If you're on the website, all you have to do is, you know, basically the screen that you see here, obviously it's kind of cropped, but on the right-hand side of what you see here, your team, you will see a thing called Leagues and Cups, and it's just below the Fan League. And then if you click on the Cup section, because there's two, there's the Leagues and the Cups, then you'll be able to see how you did in the Cup, and there'll be more, such as the Club Cup and the Country Cup, which I'm looking to do well in, if possible, but if not, it's not the end of the world. I prefer Trossard, but Rodrigo has been exceptional recently, and he's also been a bane for me in terms of my mini-league. He's been the difference between me being first and second. So yeah, it is what it is. What else do we have? Oh yeah, so my opponent in the cup had an unchanged team from Gameweek 1 with so many injured players and still beat me. Probably just those one or two players that got a big haul. Yeah, Nick, sometimes you just got to laugh about it, and it's not a big deal, I think, with the cup. You need a lot of luck to win it or to go far. You're thinking about bringing in Kane if he stays fit after the World Cup. He's already in my team. I'm not going to try spoil too much because I want it to be kind of a surprise, you could say, for the video I'm going to make soon. But yeah, Harry Kane is in my plans for sure. So glad I played Ward over Pope. It was a difference of 6 points in the end. Both of them got a clean sheet. And I actually, in terms of my predictions, there were two games I think I got right this week. Arsenal 2-0 and Leicester 2-0. But I ended up going for Newcastle because I also thought they would win 2-0. Or maybe I put 3-0. But yeah, in the end, I'm not really kicking myself too much, but I have benched plenty of points now from Ward. And he has to be a consideration going forwards for sure. And I said this in my last team selection video. How about Chelsea assets away from 17? Just Kepa for me. I wouldn't go for Fofana. I don't think he's a great option. Kepa because he's got saves, potential bonus points, and I think his ceiling is way higher than Fofana's. He would be the one. I would go for Foden out of those two, but it's really close. Foden has the tougher fixtures. My main concern with him is being benched from time to time, but when he starts, he has that high ceiling, and he's just a great player to watch, of course. Wilson Salah blanking. I'm not too surprised, actually. The thing I'm surprised about is De Bruyne, Salah, and Haaland all blanking, really. But, yeah, look, Salah's not always going to deliver. He's been like this all season as well. He's been quite inconsistent, you could say. And he already got a big return in Game Week 15, so I'm not going to kick myself about that too much. He's still a good option going forwards, and I think he's worth considering on the Unlimited. I think the best midfielder around 4.5 million is Somerville. I agree. On current form, I'd say Somerville is first, then it'd be Garnacho, then Andreas, then Bailey, in terms of 4.8 million and below. Haaland captain in first account, Salah captain second account, both. Yeah, but look, it's not a big difference, obviously, between those two. And who else would you have really considered for the captaincy? You know, most of the key options this week didn't do that well. Got knocked out of the cup by someone who captained Odegaard. I mean, he knows. I was actually talking about Odegaard yesterday. I was asked about him and I said I prefer Martinelli and Saka, and I still do, but Odegaard now has more points, I think, than both of them. So sometimes, you know, Odegaard is kind of a flat track bully. He's basically got all of his goals against teams in the relegation zone at the time that he's faced them, or newly promoted sides, so to speak, like Fulham, Forest, Bournemouth, and now Wolves. And he's Arsenal's top scorer in the Premier League, so Odegaard has to be worth considering. But my problem with him is a lot of inconsistency. He'll get a lot of 2, 3, and 1 pointers before he gets that big haul. Took me 15 brutal weeks to claw my way back from 6.5 million to 600k. That's incredible. Wow, what a great rank rise. It's not great, but I'm happy I've been able to climb my way back. Thanks for the stream, Dylan. Thank you, Ed Mers, and that's fantastic. I know it's kind of early days in the season. A lot could change, but that is, you know, so far, you know, in the space of 15 weeks, that is incredible stuff. Kane is for sure chasing Haaland at the moment. Yeah, he's only like 20 points behind. That's why having both of them could be the way forward. Yes, Level Earth, but there's also Somerville, there's Andreas, there's Bailey. There's quite a lot to consider. How do you think England will do in the World Cup? I was asked this yesterday. Sorry. I said quarterfinals. And I think in my prediction, I'm not sure who they lose to. Maybe it's France, but I think they will get knocked down in the quarterfinals. Yeah, Dylan, F1 is live now. Yeah, I know Russell's leading. Don't even get me started on F1 because my F1 fantasy team is in the mud. It was all great in the sprint race. I had Magnussen, obviously got pole position. But then he DNF today. Leclerc got collided by Norris. Verstappen got collided by Hamilton. And he's my mega driver, by the way. So yeah, it's all tits up basically. So it's been poor, bad end to the F1 fantasy season. I think a Verstappen, you know, first place, a win would have been huge for me. It is what it is. You know, sometimes you need luck. I'm out of the cup and could not give a damn. Nobody cares. Yeah, same here. I completely agree. Welcome, Safir. Which players are going to drop in price? There's no more price rises or falls, Safir. So we're not going to cover that because the markets will be frozen. So today, or yesterday, you could call it, was the last time prices have changed. Yeah, Bridgerton, a lot of us, it seems, are out of the cup. Superstar as well. I got out of the cup by 1 point. Yeah, my loss was by 19, so I can't really complain. No price changes until 26th of December, exactly. This team did not qualify for the cup. Yikes, harsh. Yeah, same here. Should I start transferring in players already for Game Week 17? You could do it. Obviously, you don't have to, Safir. It's completely up to you. I've already done it because I want to build unlimited transfers team video for you lot and, you know, kind of spark the discussion. But obviously, we'll be taking a kind of break from FPL. As an Arsenal fan, do you think there's a chance you'll be champions? Of course there's a chance. You know, Arsenal have been surpassing City this season. They've been the better team. Best defensive record, second best attack, best away record in general. I mean, there's a lot of things Arsenal are doing right at the moment, and they're getting goals from all areas of the pitch. Arteta has been manager of the season so far. There's a lot going right, but will they win it is a different story. I still think City are the favourites, but Arsenal have a chance. Of course they do. Football says, avoid making transfers. This unlimited transfers, mate. So it doesn't matter if you take hits or make transfers because you can change them afterwards as well. So it doesn't really matter. De Bruyne for Salah because Salah will be more fresh than De Bruyne after the World Cup. At the moment, I do favour Salah over De Bruyne. Saka only scored 1 more point than Foden over the past 3 game weeks with Foden being benched. Exactly. I think Saka's more consistent. He will get the 5 and 6s more consistently, but Foden has he has the bigger returns in him on a consistent basis. So yeah, Foden's more explosive for sure. Good stuff there. 72 points is a great stuff there. gone down 400k places. Wow. Yeah, I do feel for you because this week was quite a low scoring one for most. Best FPL season was last season. I was asked this quite a lot this year at the beginning of the season, and I actually gave the wrong answer. So I said I finished 68k and 55k, which is true, but I forgot about last year where I finished, I think, just outside the top 10k. So that's my best finish last season. I've only played 3 seasons. This is my 4th. I don't have an amazing track record, of course, but to finish 68k, 55k, and also, I don't know, I need to double check this, 13k, something like that. It's not too shabby. It's decent. Thank you, Mosh, as well. The only one paying attention to the chat, thank you. I appreciate it. Obviously, trust me, it gets really difficult when there's a lot of people in the chat. Deadline streams, for example, in UCL Fantasy. I try my very best to keep on top, but sometimes it's not possible. Trippier ruining my rank again. Should I even buy him after the World Cup? Yeah, I mean, Trippier's such a great option. He's the best defender in the game right now. Yeah, most clean sheets. I think Arsenal and Newcastle have the most clean sheets, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they do. Newcastle have been incredible as well. I thought they could challenge for 6th. They're doing even better than I expected. They could seriously finish 3rd. There's no doubt about it. 65 points had Kane and Darwin. Great stuff. I wonder who your captain was there, Daniel, but really good stuff from your forwards. Haaland, Kane, De Bruyne, Trossard, Martinelli, Almiron, Cancelo, Trippier, Ben White, Dallo, Greenwood, Bueno, Ward on bench. What do you think? Is this your unlimited team, Johnny? If so, looks good to me. I would maybe try to... I mean, it doesn't really matter with Bueno. He could be decent, kind of budget defender. I think it's good as it is right now. I do favour Salah over De Bruyne, but that's kind of down to personal preference. That's not too bad football forever. 220k is still a good rank to be at. Foden is such a troll. Brought him in 4 weeks ago. Has 3-1 points, so benched him this week, and he gets 9 points. I can't lie to you, I would never bench Foden, and we did get early team news. I do realise some people aren't able to get access to this because of where they are in the world, and it is obviously a disadvantage. But I always said this, with Foden, I would keep, unless we get confirmation or a reliable source saying he'll be benched, I would keep Foden and start him because I think he has a good chance of return. Obviously, he is disappointing. I do agree with you. He's actually my FPL troll of the last year or so. Whenever I have him, I don't think he's ever returned for me in FPL. But as soon as I get rid of him, he does well. You know, it is what it is. Life won't be the same without FPL. Don't worry, mate. I think you can manage. Don't worry about that. Captain Haaland, yeah, I think a lot of us were in that same boat, Daniel. Don't worry about it. Lager says, would you rather have Tony, Foden and Salah or Darwin, KDB and Trossard, Rashford, Rodrigo? It would be Tony, Foden and Salah, Lager from those trios right now. It's close, but that's my opinion. Kane, Haaland and Mitrovic, Tony up front. Thoughts? I like it. If you're going for a front three, that's exactly what I would do. I'd go for those 2 premiums and I'd go for one of those 2 medium price strikers. I completely agree with that. I'm not going for Mitrovic or Tony at the moment, but if I were to go for a free striker kind of formation and structure, I would go for one of those 2. Had to sell Foden to get Haaland back as I already had 2 City players. Couldn't risk going without him gutted. To be fair, I would have done it for free, and I do understand your point of view. There is kind of a fear with Haaland because he can go absolutely crazy. He has been poor recently, but he's just come back from an injury, so it's understandable. Is 48 points good? I think the main thing is whether you got a green arrow or not. I think 48 points is a decent score this week in general. It's probably above average, so I'd say it's good. Yeah, it's more on the good side. That's good, Daniel. Good stuff. Hopefully we push on and do really well because we're not in a great position at the moment, but it can definitely change and good stuff. 891 points. I hope you can get to 1,000 soon. Maybe next week. Hopefully a big score. Why is no one talking about the overall cup? Well, mate, we've gotten a lot of questions about that. Trust me, I'm pretty sure around 5 to 10 questions we've featured have talked about the cup. I'm not that bothered about it, I'll be honest. And I'm already out, so maybe that plays a part too. I fell 400k, but I could have got a huge green arrow. Had Salah captain, and if you got 2 returns, which was 100% possible with how many chances he had, if Zaha didn't miss his penalty, that's FPL and football for you sometimes. It's ifs, buts, and maybes. Yeah, Zaha missing a penalty. I said this, last week. He's got the fixture. He just got a big return against West Ham. It would not surprise me if he blanked against Forest, but missing a penalty just rubs the salt in the wounds. Yeah, Solanke goal as well ruled out. At least he got something, though. He got the assist. But I do understand your frustration, and Salah has been very mixed bag this season. Welcome, Cyril. Knight from Puerto de Santiago, Tenerife. Poor week in a poor season. Need this reset opportunity. I think we all do. Plans for a wildcard first draft stream, Dylan? Stream, no, but I'm looking to do a video maybe in the next few days. Could be tomorrow. I'm not so sure. I'm not going to promise that. But after this stream is done, I'm looking to kind of set everything up and then record and then edit all that stuff so you can get a kind of best unlimited team video. Thank you very much for your kind words, and I appreciate it. Good luck and enjoy your stay in Tenerife, or Tenerife, whatever you want to call it. What happens when both get similar points in the cup? I think it then goes down to stuff like goals scored in a team, stuff like that. I'm not so sure exactly what, but I think goals scored is one of the next kind of few things it goes towards. So yeah, maybe someone else will give you a better answer, but that's kind of one of the first things that popped up for me. Best time to use the free hit in a double or blank game week, and we just don't know when that's going to be yet. So we're mainly talking about January onwards. So whenever we get that double or blank. Yeah, Kane's goal standing with a foul on Meslier. Yeah, that was a disgrace, but there's a lot of bad decisions, you know, for all teams this season. I think Leeds have been especially hard done by. You got the same points as me this week, 51. Good stuff, Francis. I think it's a decent score. Not great, but not too shabby. Best goalkeeper for the next rounds. For me, Pope, Kepa, and Ward. Those are the three best ones. I'll definitely have Ward. And as for the first choice, it would be one of those two, Kepa, or I would go for Pope. Add Zaha. I also feel your pain there. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, I think they're also in other streams based on what people have told me. Not much we can do, but we hide them as quickly as possible. Thank you, Lager, for doing that. Hi, Dylan. Saka or Odegaard for the wild card? I'd still say Saka. My personal preference is Martinelli from the free, but from those two, it's still Saka. I have to say, though, Odegaard is definitely neck and neck with them. He's a really good choice, and he's more explosive, so to speak. 51 for me, green arrow at least. Yeah, exactly. Got to take the positives and enjoy the break now. Darwin paid off. Yes, he did. He's my best transfer this season. I gained 12 points from it. And I was kind of complaining because as soon as I saw it go 1-0 Liverpool, I said, don't be Firmino, because I was really considering him. He scores, and I thought, damn it, I've messed up another 50-50 this season. Then Nunez makes up for it and gains me 7 points over Firmino. So ultimately happy with it. What do you think the new template formation 11 will be? Great question. I think the template will be 2 or 3 Arsenal, City, Newcastle, that's for sure. Then kind of one of Trossard or Rashford, who has some great fixtures from 17 to 22, I think it is. Diego Dallo, you know, at the back. You're looking at someone like Kepa in goal, potentially. And then I think one of Salah De Bruyne. I think a freemium draft, that's going to be way more popular now because we suddenly don't have the Trents, Robertsons who are as appealing as they once were. You could even go without Cancelo feasibly. So we're all kind of going to gravitate towards going for 2 free premiums, Harry Kane, Haaland, and one of Salah or De Bruyne. What is this cup everyone is talking about? You don't have to sign up anywhere, Pankaj. You get automatically enrolled. Just check the website, check the cup section, and you will see if you went through or not, or if you qualified at all, which I'm guessing you did. I think Zaha missed the penalty earlier this season, but scored the rebound. Yeah, it might have been, was it against Villa? No, I'm not so sure who it was against. I honestly have no idea. I remember him missing a penalty, but I don't remember which game. Yeah, Zaha's not a great penalty taker. I would go for Foden, Safir. Best selection for Gameweek 17. I will cover this in a video. I'm not going to do it right now. Is there an app for World Cup Fantasy? There isn't at the moment, and I don't think it will be the case, actually, based on what we're hearing. FIFA Plus is the app where, if it ever appears on an app, it will be that one, FIFA Plus, but honestly, we have no idea. Thank you, Chu. I appreciate, as always, a long-time viewer of the channel. Thank you very much. And I'm a Leeds fan with all that on top of it. Yeah, like I said, I think you've been hard done by. I think you were very unlucky against Arsenal. I think in terms of the decisions, obviously we might have disagreements on that, but in terms of the actual game, you dominated, you should have won that. And against Spurs, look, Spurs are that kind of team, you know. I actually thought they'd still win, even when Leeds went ahead several times. I do feel your pain there. That decision for Meslier, though, was one of the worst this season. What is the best goalkeeper for fantasy this season? Yeah, I mean, in terms of value, he's the absolute best. Opinions on Ward? Not too surprised, actually. You know, for him to get an 11 points against West Ham, I didn't expect it, but I did say 2-0 Leicester in my kind of predictions, so maybe I should have started him, but I also favoured Newcastle for the clean sheet. Not going to kick myself too much about it. Ward has to be on the wildcard, of course. Easy choice. He's very cheap as well. Dallo or Ben White? Still Ben White for me. Dalot is better going forward and also in terms of bonus points, but Ben White will keep more clean sheets. United still have a lot. They leave a lot to be desired defensively, so Ben White for me. Think of going for 4 defenders makes sense since defenders are producing high points. There's a lot of good value options. That's what I would say. You don't need to go for Cancelo. I'll definitely go for Trippier. Trent, Robertson, all these kind of expensive defenders, Van Dijk, they're just not worth it. So really Trippier and then Ben White, Dalot, and someone like, let's say, for example, I'm taking too long for this, by the way, Botman. You know, you could even double up on Newcastle defence. That would be enough, I think, for unlimited. What else do we have? Triple Newcastle, 2 Man U, 2 City, 2 Paul, Zaha, Maddison, Trossard, 2 Arsenal. I personally wouldn't go for Zaha. Maddison for me or Trossard would be the one. I actually don't have Maddison at the moment, but if I could afford him, he would be in for sure. He is my favourite midfielder from those 3. So yeah, it would be Maddison, Trossard, then Zaha. That seems pretty good. I personally have 2 Man United, 2 City, 2 Arsenal, 1 Liverpool, and I think I'm looking to get 2 Leicester, but I'm not sure I will be able to. Hi, does the free transfer window start tonight? It's already started. As soon as the deadline passed, you were able to make unlimited transfers. How comes you're not watching the F1 race? I'll be honest, I lost interest. I'm playing F1 Fantasy in that as well, and it's all gone tits up F1 Fantasy-wise. And also, I always kind of stream straight after the last game, so that's why I'm doing it. So I didn't want to compromise the stream just because of F1, especially when it's all going badly from an F1 Fantasy perspective. Sold Foden for Zaha. Told you Foden will no longer blank after I sell him. You did warn us, to be fair, and then you passed on to the jinx to Zaha, you could say, but you can't really beat yourself up about it. Yeah, I think going forwards, Foden is the better option, but he's also the far more riskier pick. So Foden is kind of just the high risk, high rewards, but are you willing to do that? I'm just not so sure. Was top 50k not long ago, now sitting at 365k. Still a decent position. I'd rather be in your shoes than mine, mate. So it's not too shabby. Obviously, I had a kind of similar situation maybe 2 seasons ago. I was around 50k, then I kept going down to like 200, 300k, and I kept going up and down. It was kind of like a yo-yo, you could say. Still a long way to go. Looking forward to you seeing our World Cup fantasy content. Thank you, Callum. I actually already have 2 videos up on the channel, so check them out. How to play World Cup fantasy and my first draft. And by the way, an update on Dumfries. He was substituted off today. Inter Milan played, I think, around 12 p.m. He was subbed off with an injury, so Dumfries is actually a doubt for matchday 1 against Senegal. Keep an eye out for that. Who would you say is the best pick between Darwin and Salah? Still Salah for me, but Nunez, I mean, if he can keep up what he did this week, and get those double-digit returns, he's definitely one to keep an eye on going forwards. But I still prefer Tony, Mitrovic, Haaland, Kane up front. And then in terms of the midfield, Salah is still probably the best premium or the second best. So Salah for me. I think you'll still get a significant number more points, and I would just rather go... When you're comparing the strikers you can get around Nunez's price, I think it's worth going for someone else instead. Yeah, I went through, and you were right in case of a draw. First criteria is goals scored, second is goals conceded, and then there's a virtual coin toss. Oh, thank you. I wasn't aware. Thank you for reminding me. So goals conceded, and then a virtual coin toss, which is literally just luck. That's... How lucky can you get there, really? Thank you, Junkster. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. I have Foden and Zaha. Jekyll and Hyde there. You got 10 points from Foden, 0 from Zaha. Not too shabby. Are you sticking with your team or making changes? Well, I've already made changes, like I said. I'll show you probably in that video, but now I'll keep things as they are. Does making too many transfers in Game Week 16 and 17 cost me any drop in ranks? No, it doesn't. Any transfer you make right now is free. It's like you're starting the season all over again in Game Week 1, where you can make transfers with no penalties, no hits. So don't worry about that. Salah KDB? At the moment, I prefer Salah. Really close, though. And the reason why I say that is because you can cover Liverpool offensively with the fixtures, and you've already got Haaland to cover City anyway. Foden or Kulusevski? Foden. Rashford or Trossard? Trossard. That would be my take on it. Should I keep Jesus? I personally wouldn't. He's a good option, but Tony, Mitrovic are better. I'd still actually prefer Nunez at this point in time, not to mention Kane and Haaland. So Jesus would be the best behind those lot. I wish World Cup Fantasy was easy to access and navigate as UCL Fantasy or FPL. Yeah, they're still making changes to the website, so it could become easier to access. But yeah, it does seem a bit weird, and there should be an app I'm a bit surprised there isn't already. Thank you, Sophia. As he says, like the stream. It really goes a long way to helping the channel. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 17,000 subscribers and also to over 300 likes. I know a lot of us will be switched off now. We're kind of grateful FPL is over for the time being, but there's still a lot to discuss, of course. If you have any more questions or comments, then be sure to let me know. And we've got over 150 people watching. Thank you very much. Let's try to get this to over 100 at least and then push on to 200 and beyond. And be sure to check out my how to play World Cup Fantasy and also the first draft video. They're all up on the channel already, so it's all there, easy to access. Let's see the new comments here. What are the best alternatives to Zaha that are a similar price? I think there's quite a lot, to be fair. You're looking at Maddison, you're looking at Trossard, Martinelli, Rashford. Any one of those would be great. And Rashford has great fixtures going forwards, but I have to say, he's very inconsistent. He will either give you a big return or just blank, as he typically does. So I think one of those would be fine. Even Foden, but he's high risk, high reward. If you're asking me to narrow it down, it would be one of Maddison, Martinelli, and probably Trossard. Those would be my three favourites. Botman, Bernal, Zuma. Botman. I think it's very easy. Would you give any priority to preferring players from teams with a game in hand who will eventually have a double game week? I think that's something to consider for sure. So teams like Newcastle, for example, have 15 games played. They're not going to be one of them. But teams like City, Arsenal, they technically have the game in hand, but it's against each other. You also have to think about that. What is the game in hand against? United also have a game in hand, I believe, against those around them. But yeah, that is a good point. I would try to squeeze some of these players in, but don't force it. You know, you still want to have players you trust, that have good fixtures, that play in good teams. Obviously, sometimes you have some exceptions, a player playing in a bad team, that's a good FPL asset. But there's a lot to consider, more so than that, but it's something worth considering for sure. I agree with that. Let me bring this up. I think we'll witness more injuries during the World Cup due to the timing. Yeah, that's something I actually said at the beginning of the stream. I think there will be more injuries. It's a shame. Already, you know, there's some key injuries to France, Kante and Pogba, although that was obviously some time ago. Lo Celso for Argentina. There's a lot of injuries. Mane, I think Senegal resorted to witch doctors or something for him to be fit. I'm not sure what's going on there. Rodrigo, yes, he's another one worth considering, but check the fixtures. And I still have some doubts about Leeds. And look, he's a good option. It's good that you mention him. I think he's worth considering, but I do prefer the others that I mentioned. Welcome, Grid Beast. Almiron has been such a good asset in the midfield too. Yes, and I think he's one of the kind of first names in the team sheet at the moment on Unlimited. But he is on a purple patch. How long will it continue? I'm not so sure. But it's good to see him just becoming a completely different player this time around. Double game weeks won't be until much later in the season, until teams are out of cups. Yes, I'm not sure exactly how it will be this time round, but we could feasibly get lucky Lando gets a DNF on his birthday. Thank you, Patrick, for the update. I might put the stream up now and have a kind of look whilst we're going through the comments. But yeah, in terms of Costa's question, or no, not Costa's question. Who is it? Sorry. Jared's question. Almiron has been such a good asset. Yes, he has been. I'm not so sure he will continue this kind of rate of form, but he's still a good option going forwards. Your opinion? I'm looking to play 4-5-1 formation for the larger part going back from the World Cup. Not a bad idea, but I would rather go 3-5-2. Basically, look, you don't have to do 3-5-2. You could sometimes change. I'm looking to go for two forwards up front. Like I said, Kane, Haaland, Tony, Mitrovic. I'm looking at those four. Two of those four is fine, and I'm looking to go really big up front. Let's say that for sure. And you can always have that kind of structure with Kane and Haaland up front. And you can also have four good defenders that you can sometimes rotate between themselves and also potentially change formations. You can sometimes go 4-4-2, 4-5-1 as you said, or 3-5-2. And I have to say 3-5-2 is my favourite formation going forwards with the players you can get. I have Alisson in goal. Should I change goalkeeper? And if so, which one? In FPL, I would change him. I just don't see enough clean sheets for Liverpool to justify him. I only recommended him in the wildcard video for Game Week 16 because it's literally just one game week. That's about it. And I thought Liverpool would keep a clean sheet. Botman takes a valuable Newcastle spot, but I do see what you mean, but I mean, what are we talking about? Almiron, Trippier, and then one of Botman, Pope or Wilson. I have to say I favour Pope or Botman, and having Botman is completely fine. Then you can go for Kepa in goal and then have more money to spend on premium. So I don't think it's that bad, actually. Botman also has decent bonus points potential. He can get 7 points quite consistently. Newcastle are a defensive juggernaut. I think there's a lot to like. He's only 4.4 million. I'd much rather go to him than Fofana. Hi, Dylan, Sack and Perisic or Odegaard and Trent Robertson. Probably Odegaard and Robertson at the moment from those lot. Thank you, Fahi, as well. I appreciate it. Mane and Kante are really humble and generous. I really feel for them. Mane, I think, is fine. He's already in the squad. I think he'll be fine. Kante, yeah, it's a big shame. That will also be a blow for France. I've seen the possible lineup, and it doesn't look that great, actually, compared to the last World Cup, in my opinion. Obviously, let me know, by the way, if you have any World Cup questions in terms of, general World Cup. We'll stick to the World Cup fantasy stuff more so in those streams, which will be out very soon, and also the videos. Opinions on David De Gea over Pope. Great fixtures, but United are pretty poor defensively, in my opinion. I don't really trust them to get that many clean sheets. I would just go for Pope or Kepa. I know you could say, well, why Kepa? Chelsea are looking even worse than United, but I think Kepa's cheaper, of course, and he also has a high ceiling, in my opinion. So I would rather go for those options instead. Why has he been talked about a lot? Because when he was playing, when he was fit, he was actually doing a really good job. He was helping Chelsea keep clean sheets, and he also has a high ceiling. You don't need the clean sheets all the time. He can sometimes get the bonus points, the saves, and also he's so cheap. There's a lot of reasons why. I'll be honest, if I had enough money, I would go to Pope for sure, but in my current draft, I'm not able to do that. Yeah, Isak is coming back for Newcastle, and also Wilson's injury prone, and he's just a kind of FPL troll, really. He's not someone I would actually back to get more points than Mitrovic, Wilson, Tony, Kane, Haaland, Nunez, Jesus. I think all of them are better. Yeah, Botman is extremely great value at 4.4 million. He's someone I highlighted in pre-season. It took him a bit of a while to get going and starting matches. Eventually it happened, and now he's great. Yeah, I think so. You never walk alone, Anka. I think it is worth ditching Cancelo potentially. I don't think he's a must-have. I think the only must-have defender is Trippier. However, I am going to go for Cancelo, I think, going into Game Week 17. He has been poor recently, but I expect that to change very soon. If that means I can have Salah and KDB, or is the frustrating Cancelo still a must-have? Yeah, so like we said, Cancelo's not a must-have anymore. You can go for Salah and KDB instead. I would rather do that, but what I'm looking to do is go for one of those two that you said, Kane and Haaland, along with Cancelo. I might go with Raya and double up with Trippier and Botman. Yeah, that looks completely fine to me, and Raya has actually been right up there. Yet true, to be fair, Ward is also viable, I think, at his price. I think there's decent rotation with Kepa and Ward. So for the first two game weeks Chelsea have, they have, Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. I'm actually looking to play Kepa for Game Week 17 potentially, then play Ward in 17, and potentially for some of the other game weeks to come, like I think 20, 21, when we look at the fixtures. So I think with Ward being such a good option now, you could feasibly go for someone a bit cheaper and less reliable per se. Which team has the easiest next few fixtures? We can go through that right now. So we've got the fixture ticker ready, as always. So if you check Fantasy Football Hub, Southampton are top from Game Week 17 to 23. So a nice kind of sample size. We're talking about 7 game weeks here. Nottingham Forest, United, Newcastle, Palace, Chelsea. So let's talk about, or try highlight and pick down the teams we really want to target for the wildcard, or the unlimited transfer, should I say. Man United, Newcastle, Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal. Those are the kind of teams with the best fixtures that I think have 2 or 3 good options. From Man United, you're looking at Dalot, Shaw, Rashford. I think those would be the best ones. Garnacho as well as a budget midfielder. However, I mainly favour Dalot. I think he's my favourite United asset. Rashford is very inconsistent, but what he also has is the high ceiling. From Chelsea, it would be Kepa, and probably that's about it at the moment. Chelsea have been absolutely poor. I just can't really see myself recommending Aubameyang, Mason Mount, Sterling. I just don't think it's worth it. So really for me, it's Reece James and Kepa, assuming they are fit in time. Leicester, you're looking at Danny Ward, Timothy Castagna, and I think that would be about it. That would be enough. And when you bench Ward, you can sometimes start Castagna and cover a potential Leicester clean sheet that way. Leicester have Fulham in Game Week 19. That's a really good time where Chelsea, for example, they play Man City. You can then play, for example, Danny Ward at home to Fulham. That's the kind of goalkeeper rotation you're looking at potentially with Kepa and Danny Ward. Then when Kepa plays Liverpool away, Leicester have Brighton at home. Once again, another good example of nice rotation between Danny Ward and Kepa. We'll talk more about this, of course, in the future FPL videos. So in terms of the worst fixtures, you've got the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, all down there in the bottom 6-7. That is actually quite interesting to see, but I still recommend Harry Kane from Spurs, and that's about it. I wouldn't go near Perisic and all these other options. Spurs are looking really poor defensively. From Liverpool, I think Salah and Nunez would be the very best options, and I'm not looking at a defender right now. If you had to pick one, it would be Robertson. Don't discount Trent, of course, but I think he's far too expensive, really. Then with Man City, of course, we know all their good options they have. The best ones being Cancelo, De Bruyne, and Erling Haaland. Foden, of course, is always a good choice when he starts. That's the big problem, though, starts. Then we look at predicted points as well in the same time frame. Haaland, De Bruyne, Salah, Kane, and Cancelo, all in the top positions. And you also have Trent up there, which I disagree with, especially considering how this season has panned out. I don't expect that many clean sheets for Liverpool despite their good fixtures. Then you have Jesus, Luis Diaz, Martinelli, and Sterling. So finally, we're going to get some players coming back like James, Luis Diaz from those long-term injuries. It'll be good to see. And that could also potentially freshen things up. Am I going for Reece James at the moment? The answer is no. Then we go through the captaincy. The last time we'll talk about Game Week 16 captaincy, Erling Haaland was captained by 88% of managers in the top 10k. So kind of gives you a good indicator of how most people went about their captaincy this week. Most of us went with Haaland. He got 1 point. There you go. That's the kind of week it was. Salah was second. De Bruyne third. So basically, what? 3 of the top 4 options blanked. Came the kind of ever reliable Harry Kane was the only one that kind of delivered, really, and he was very lucky as well with that goal standing that probably should have been disallowed, let's be honest. So sometimes you just need luck in FPL. It's as simple as that. We've covered that many times on this channel. But let's now go back to my team, and that's how I did in Game Week 16. So 51 points. It was enough for a small green arrow. By the way, apologies that I still had the message up, but we'll talk about that later on. Rashford essential? No, I disagree. I don't think he's essential. He is currently in my draft, but I don't think he's essential. If I had enough money to go to Madison, for example, I probably would. I will talk about that, Charles, in a future video. There's no point doing that right now. I think it's best to leave it for another time. There's no more, Zane. Don't worry about price rises and falls. There are no more. Yesterday was the last one. My first draft is David De Gea and Ward. Good stuff. That doesn't look too shabby. I have to say, though, I do prefer Kepa and, more importantly, Pope, if you can afford it. Could you name 5 essential players and 5 differential players, in your opinion? I don't like the word essential, but in terms of players that I'd say most people will have, I think Haaland, Harry Kane, one of Salah, De Bruyne, so that's already 3 players, Trippier, and the 5th one, in my opinion, would be... That's a tough question. I would probably say an Arsenal defender, and I'd probably go for Ben White personally, but if you can afford it, Saliba is also a seasoned keeper. So that's 5 names for you. In terms of differential players, I think Madison, around 10% ownership, is a really good one. I like him a lot, despite the tough fixtures. Let me think, by the way, and also recover my voice. Okay, so differentials. Good question that you asked there. I'm actually going to go to the... Oh, it's gonna spoil things. I'm going to check quickly on the FPL website. So 1 second here. And I'm going to check the ownerships and then give you a rundown of differential kind of players here. So in terms of a differential goalkeeper, I think it would be Kepa. Let me just double check the percentage of ownership. Arrizabalaga's ownership is 2.2%. So yeah, he would be my differential goalkeeper. In the defense, a differential would be Timothy Castagne. Looks pretty good at 9.2% ownership. I do like him. Anyone else with low ownership in defense? Botman, 2.8% ownership. That's done. So far we're talking about Kepa and Botman. They're also in consideration for my team. In the midfield, yeah, Madison, like I told you before, you could say 10.7% isn't the biggest differential, but still, any returns he gets will be a significant green arrow for you. Trust me on that one. So yeah, Madison will be my midfielder of choice. And forwards, I would probably go for... Tough one. Yeah, I think Darwin Nunez is a good one. 11.3% ownership. He's a good choice. Tony's at 17%. You could argue he's a differential. No, I don't think he's that much of a differential. So Darwin Nunez will be up front. So there you go. That's a player for each position. Let me know your thoughts on that one. What else do we have? James, someone to look out for after the World Cup? Yes, of course he is, but 6 million or more for a Chelsea defender, I think that's too much. I think Kepa at 4.5 is just about right. Yeah, I think Kane is almost a must-have for 17 plus. I don't think you need to have him because you could go for Salah and De Bruyne as well as Haaland, but Kane is my favourite premium apart from Erling. You think Robertson is nailed on to start every game? Not every game. I think Tsimikas will get the occasional match, especially when Liverpool have 2 or 3 games in a week. So I don't think he starts every game, and I'd rather go elsewhere anyway. Don't forget how good Reece James is and his whole potential. Yeah, but City have a much better defence. Cancelo is a bonus points machine when City do keep these clean sheets. He's also good for the assists and goals, more so in the Champions League, but still he can bring that to the Premier League. Reece James, for me, he's a good choice. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good, but I don't think he's a better option than Cancelo, I have to say. Rate my current draft. Kepa, Cancelo, Trippier, White, Maddison, Salah, Almiron, Trossard, Martinelli, Kane, Haaland. Looks really good. It's actually identical to what I have, and I like the Maddison pick especially. I would really like to have him myself, Charles. So my honest answer, it's a really good team. Is today the last deadline for Matchday 7? Today is going to be the last stream. And in terms of the deadline, the last deadline was yesterday, and we have to wait until the 26th of December now, Boxing Day, for Gameweek 17. Yeah, Martinelli, he's always a good choice, I think, but he's not a differential. Yeah, that's why I didn't mention him. Another crap week on 868 now. Yeah, I feel for you, mate, but still plenty of time to bounce back. I know it's kind of a bit more difficult this season because a lot of our teams are similar, but is Fofana a good option? I don't think so. I don't think he starts most games. So basically, you know, for a kind of Chelsea defender, you want him to at least start every single game, like a Botman for Newcastle. He doesn't offer you that. Chelsea are looking pretty poor defensively anyway. So honestly, I'd rather go to Kepa if he's fully fit and he remains the first choice. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. And it's good to see the discussion, even though we technically disagreed on Reece James, but I appreciate that. Had Kane and Haaland all season, but still only 1.7 million. It's just such a weird season. There's no kind of clear-cut answer to why a lot of us are doing so poor. I think it's just more competitive than ever. I can't enunciate properly. Apologies for that. I think all of us have made mistakes, but at the same time, there are also bits of bad luck. 50-50 decisions going the other way. It is what it is, I think. But that's quite surprising, actually, because they're the 2 best premiums in the game at the moment. Mackenzie says, my first draft is De Gea, Ward, Trippier, Robertson, Dalot, Zuma, Patterson, Salah, Zaha, 2-week punt, Martinelli, Rashford, Almiron, Haaland, Solanke, Wilson. It's a good draft. I'll be honest, I think there are better strikers than Solanke and Wilson, but still good strikers, especially for their value. And also be aware of Isak coming back. That could impact Wilson. I also not a big fan of Zaha, especially as a 2-week punt. I just rather go for another midfielder that's more reliable, like Trossard, potentially. But look, we all have different opinions. Robertson could be a really nice differential. I like that idea. David De Gea, he's been incredible recently, but still not enough clean sheets for my liking. You could argue the same for Kepa, but what I like about Kepa, like I said, high ceiling and also cheaper. And as for Zuma, just not for me. I think West Ham are one of those funny ones where they have decent underlying numbers, but they don't really translate them into clean sheets and points. So I think I would change a little bit in this team, but Trippier, Robertson, Salah, Martinelli, Rashford, Almiron, Haaland, all great picks, and I have no problems with them whatsoever. Obviously, let me know if you disagree. You think Nunez will start, really? Because I think Diaz and Jota would be back in time. I think Nunez is the kind of first choice out of him and Jota. Jota's kind of the lowest down in the pecking order. And we also have to think about how they will bounce back from their injuries. But you make a good point. My main concern is when Liverpool have a lot of games. And I only mention Nunez as a differential forward. I wouldn't go for him on Unlimited, despite what he did for me this week. Yes, Howdy, that is really good. 982 points. I'm not sure what rank that is, but to start the season or to start your FPL journey, that's incredible. I got lucky in the FPL Cup. My opponent scored 39. Yeah, my opponent scored 68, so pretty much almost double what your opponent scored. Is Salah Nunez worth it instead of Saka and Cancelo? I prefer Saka and Cancelo still, mate. But that Liverpool duo looks good. Is Odegaard a better option than Martinelli now? I still don't think so, but it's really close, I have to say. Robertson or Trent? At the moment, like Lager says, I agree. I would go for Robertson. I agree. I don't watch cricket, Sagar. Honestly, I don't watch cricket. I have no interest. I heard some things about it, but honestly, I don't know. My rank dropped from 200k to 490k. Yeah, not a great way to end the first half of the season, we could call it. But still, 490k, not a bad place to be. Diaz and Jota will be fit surely, yes, but my main concern is when there is the FA Cup, which is in January, of course, the Champions League in February, and also the Carabao Cup should Liverpool win. And I think their game against City is like a day or so after the World Cup final, which is ridiculous, by the way. The worst game week of my FPL career. How many points did you get, Ted? Obviously, we all have these kind of stories. It never is rosy all the time. We always have these kind of problems. Yeah, I just think Zaha's fixtures, you could definitely get returns in those games. Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, always back your gut, because sometimes I do give an opinion which ends up being wrong. And sometimes the kind of person who puts forward their own kind of side of it, they should have just stuck with what they said. But Zaha also had a really good game this week, and he turned to be a really bad pick this week. Look, Zaha's a bit of an FPL troll. He is Palace's best attacker, but I think there are better midfielders out there, personally. And either way, he's a 2-week punt for you. Why not go for it? Yeah, Russell wins his first race. That's great. My Max Verstappen triple mega driver, should I say, is in the mud. I actually have a really bad record with triple captaincy, and that's now stemmed to F1 Fantasy. So, basically, I'll give you the best advice for triple captaincy. Don't do what I do, basically. Thank you, FPL Diamond. Like, share, subscribe, lads. Support your quality channel as you continue to get brilliant content on a consistent basis. Thank you, FPL Diamond. I appreciate it. Is the Kanji nailed? No. He will play a good amount of games in the Prem and Champions League, but he's not going to start every single one. Not enough for you to really go for him. From 6k to 1.4 million in the space of 10 game weeks, that is... Wow, that is quite a rank drop. I've seen someone else say something quite similar. I do feel for you, but you have been there. You have what it takes to be there. Sometimes you just need luck to be on your side, and sometimes it's just about timing, getting players at the right time. I do feel for you. 26 points, everyone just blanked except Trippier. Surely need this break to reset my team. Yeah, wait, I'm not sure why the message did that, by the way. Okay, that was a bit of a glitch, so apologies for that. Yeah, that's kind of one of the worst types of weeks where everyone pretty much blanks, and you might have one player that does well, but everyone has him anyway, like 60% of the game. So yeah, that's kind of one of the worst types of weeks you can have. I do feel for you. Yeah, with Zaha, like, if he scored that pen, we're all laughing, but I just feel so unlucky. Well, it is unlucky. It's all down to fine margins. I think he completely missed the penalty, didn't he? So, yeah, look, Zaha's not the worst option in the world. He is decent, but he's just too inconsistent, and I don't know. I don't have that confidence in him to deliver week in, week out. I really was advocating for him at the beginning of the season. He had great underlying numbers. He was scoring against Liverpool and just playing down the middle, but I just can't really see myself recommending him at the moment. What do you think of having Salah, De Bruyne, Kane and Haaland in your team, plus Trossard, Almiron, Botman, Trippier, Saliba, Somerville and Kepa in goal? I mean, it's a good squad. I wouldn't have enough confidence in Somerville yet to start him. And what is your bench like? Because if you then have Garnacho, let's say Bueno and Greenwood, I don't think that would be enough on Unlimited, because things can change very quickly. You might have rotation, you might have injuries very quickly, especially with the World Cup, and also with such a tight schedule before and after the World Cup. So I would be a bit concerned about the squad depth. I would sacrifice a premium personally. I think 3 premiums is definitely achievable with a really good balanced squad. 4 might be a stretch too far, but I have to say the 11 is really good, with the exception of starting Somerville every single week. But I have to say, really good form for him as well. Rate it, Pope, White, Castagna, Fofana, Cancelo, Trippier, Martinelli. I do like the goalkeeper choice, and also all of your defenders except for Fofana. I wouldn't go for him. I'd rather go to Botman or maybe go to Patterson. I wouldn't go for Fofana. Thoughts on Sanchez, Trippier, Saliba, White, Martinelli, KDB, Salah, Haaland, Nunez. It's a good team. Sanchez isn't my favourite goalkeeper, though. And Brighton, they mainly intrigue me in the midfield, especially with Trossard. I'm not sure I'd go for Sanchez. The rest, though, looks great. Supreme puts his draft as well. Yeah, good stuff. As good as Leicester are at the moment, with their fixtures, I wouldn't double up with Ward and Castagna every single week. I don't mind having both of them in your draft, but to start them every single week would be a slight concern. I have to say, though, the rest of your team looks really good, actually. Fantastic. The intensity with which Fulham plays is sensational, especially at home. It'll be fun to own Antoine Robinson if they can keep some clean sheets. Yeah, he is an engine, but he also seems to have a mistake in him. He made a few today against United, and I believe he considered the penalty to City, which, to be fair, was a dive by De Bruyne, so you could say I'm being a bit harsh, but you make a good point. Fulham do play with that great intensity, but do sometimes lack that quality in the final third, especially to deliver it to Mitrovic, and defensively they are quite poor. That's why I wouldn't recommend Robinson or any of their defenders like Diop. Thank you, Aluminium. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for watching. If you have any more questions or comments, let me know before we do wrap up. Could be a short one today. And let's keep on smashing the like button and subscribing if you are new around here. It really helps out the channel. I'm currently looking at De Gea, Trippier, Cancelo, Robertson, Patterson, James, Saka, Fernandes, Trossard, Almiron. It's a good team, but I have to say, Fernandes, not for me. Created a really good chance today, and he is doing well for United, but FPL-wise, it's just a no-go for me. And as for De Gea, I'd rather go to Dalot. I don't think De Gea is the best goalkeeper choice. I'm seeing a lot of love for him. I think there are better choices, personally. Raya even, you're looking at Kepa, and also, more importantly, Nick Pope. Yeah, Ward is completely fine. My team right now is Alisson, Robertson, White, Trippier, Zaha, Trossard, Almiron, Foden, Firmino, Haaland, and Jesus. I'm trying to bring in Maddison and Botman. Yep, I like that a lot. Two good differentials, especially with Botman and Maddison. Yeah, he's got higher ownership, but he's one of the very best midfielders in the game, as long as he stays fit. Yeah, that looks good to me. The only concern is having double Liverpool defence. I think that's a no-go. I wouldn't go for Alisson. I'd go to Pope, Kepa, maybe someone else that you have in mind, but not Alisson. Firmino, I do prefer Mitrovic and Tony, but he's not a bad pick either. Is it worth dropping Saka, Cancelo for Nunez, Mitrovic, Salah? I think it is worth it, potentially. What about Martial? Not for me. Ronaldo is going to be back, of course, after the World Cup, and you've also got other options. United could also have Rashford up front from time to time, although I don't think that'll be the case too much nowadays. Not for me. I don't think Martial is consistent enough. He's far too injury-prone. Talmud, we literally have 2 World Cup fantasy videos on the channel already, so check them out, and there'll be more in the weeks to come. Sanchez, Ward, Dalot, Botman, Trippier, White, Gay, Salah, KDB, Almiron, Somerville, Haaland, Kane, Greenwood. Good stuff. Once again, Sanchez, not my favourite, and I wouldn't go for Gay. And honestly, I am so happy to get rid of Crystal Palace players. They are just big trolls for me. Double Arsenal defence, decent. I think I'll just go for one, though. So one of Saliba or White is completely fine. I don't think you need to go for a double up, but apart from Newcastle or maybe City, I think Arsenal are the best team to double up on, despite, I want to say, tough fixtures, kind of mixed bag. Reece James instead of Kepa for the Chelsea defence option. Not a bad shout, and Reece James has the attacking threat, of course, but I would probably say Kepa. I think when Kepa was fit, what he was showing was a really high level. He was Chelsea's best player under Potter in his first few games, so yeah, I'd probably say Kepa still. Obviously, this is my opinion at this moment in time. Very early on in November, things can change. I'm currently on Ward, Sanchez, Trippier, Cancelo, Dalot, Castagna, Patterson, Martinelli, Rashford, Foden, Diaz, Andreas, Kane, Haaland, Darwin. A lot of Liverpool players there. Well, I'd say a lot. It's just 2, but not sure about Diaz personally. I actually would rather go to Trossard, Maddison. I think they are better choices. You've got some really good picks, though. I have to say, your defence is incredible, and it's close to what I'm looking to go for, Alex. White, Martinelli, and Jesus triple up for Arsenal. Thoughts? White and Martinelli, yes. Jesus, for me, no. He's a good option, but there are better. Huge green arrow despite I didn't captain Kane. Good stuff, Ayub. Keep it going. Zane, I have no idea. At the moment, there is no app. There could be one tomorrow, maybe, when the website updates. FIFA Plus is the app in question, but I'm not so sure. At the moment, the app only redirects you to the website. Saliba or White? I'm going for White right now. He's cheaper. I think he's 0.5, 0.6 million cheaper. And in terms of points difference, I don't think it'll be that big to justify going for Saliba. If you have the funds, go for Saliba. But if you can make an upgrade elsewhere with the extra money, which I can do as well, that's why I would favour White in my own personal situation. If money's not an issue, Saliba. More bonus points, probably more goals. Ben White has never scored a Premier League goal, for example. Would you consider setting the team up to bench boost in 17? No, because I'm looking to go for free premiums, and in order to do that, I've got one budget option, real budget option, who's just going to be fun on my bench every week, and that's why I'm not going to bench boost right now. Thank you, Zane, as well. I appreciate it. I don't know what the World Cup Fantasy guys are doing. Hopefully they do sort things out soon, but I think the website should be updated tomorrow. I prefer Dallo. He's now going to be back from suspension, of course, in Gameweek 17. I think he's better for bonus points, and he's also... With Shaw, I think he's a bit more injury-prone from the two as well. Shaw's definitely better going forwards, no doubt about it, but my answer is Dallo. I think the bonus point sways it his way. So yeah, that is about it. One thing I could say though about Dallo is he is a bit of a yellow card magnet, which is why he was suspended today. But yeah, I'd go for Dallo. That's my personal opinion. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Obviously, it's been a blast talking to all of you. If you've got any more questions or comments, be sure to leave them down very quickly because we will be wrapping up fairly soon. I'm actually going to check the F1 results as well quickly live on stream, and F1 Fantasy is actually in the mud. So there you go. I'm going to see how I did. I'm actually, apart from Russell winning the race, I wasn't aware of anything else that happened. Jesus Christ, Verstappen had a stinker. 6th place. Jesus Christ, that is a Mega Driver disaster. But yeah, has it ended yet? No. 71 laps, isn't it? It's still going. So Russell first, Hamilton second, Sainz third, Leclerc fourth, Alonso fifth. Wow. Alonso's a great driver, man. From all the kind of stuff that happened yesterday and today, being in fifth right now, that's great stuff. Yeah, I have to say, though, some things have just been absolutely awful. Magnussen DNFing. You're looking at Verstappen getting, in my opinion, Hamilton was in the definite wrong there. You're looking at Norris as well, ruining Leclerc's race almost, who's now fourth. Yeah, quite a lot of things did go wrong there, but there you go. I will be watching the race, I think, if it's still going on, by the way. Is there official prediction game every match of World Cup? I don't think so, Cigar. That's a great question you asked, but I don't think there is. Who's going to win the World Cup? In my opinion, it's between Argentina and Brazil. I think they are the best teams right now. Argentina have a 35-game unbeaten run. They've won 2 trophies against top-quality opposition. Brazil are always a favourite, in the World Cup. France would be probably the best team from Europe, but they seem disjointed over the last year or two. Look, anyone can win it, I think. I don't see a team that's never won the World Cup before winning it. I think it's kind of an exclusive group that will always kind of compete for it. 8, 9 nations, you could say. But yeah, for me, Argentina and Brazil look the strongest. Wouldn't surprise me if a European team won it, though. Wilson or Nunez? Nunez, I think, from those two right now. Is Ericsson an FPL option post-World Cup? Not for me. I know he was really good today. He should have scored another one, but I don't think so. I'd rather go to Rashford. Thank you, Mackenzie. Ramsdale White as an Arsenal double-up. I like it. And I think Ramsdale is one of the better goalkeeper options. I think White's enough, though, personally. Thank you, You Never Walk Alone, Anka. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sophia. Take care as well. Best midfielder for 7 million. Martinelli. Martinelli's my answer there. Also, my current draft, Pope, Ward, White, Trippier, Cancelo, Bueno, Castagna, Rashford, Almiron, Salah, Martinelli, Kane, Haaland, Edouard. Edouard is a no-go. I wouldn't go for him. Despite the fixtures, I like your goalkeepers. Completely fine with that. Defense is also looking really good. Bueno's your kind of defensive budget option. Your midfield's also looking really solid. Honestly, it's just Edouard, I think, that lets your team down. I think everything else is great. Yeah, same here, Cigar. I think Vettel's a great driver. One of the best of all time, of course. And even recently, he's been showing what he's capable of. Nunez or Wilson? Yeah, I answered that already, Lindsay. I'd go for Nunez. I disagree, Cigar. I think, yeah, Netherlands, they always surprise me because they should be World Cup champions. They've reached 3 finals, somehow haven't won any of them. They've produced some of the greatest players of all time. Dennis Bergkamp, Johan Cruyff, whoever you can name, really, Van Basten. They should have a World Cup. I think they are the most likely from those teams you said to win a World Cup. I don't see Portugal or Belgium winning it. They can, of course they can. They all have a chance. They've got some great players, and I think if Portugal had a better manager, I would fancy them a bit more, and they would maybe be my favourites from the European nations. But with their current manager, I don't think that'll be the case. Welcome, Jamie. Good to see you, mate, as always. Garnacho or Rashford? Still Rashford for me, but what I like about Garnacho is he's so cheap, you can bench him, and he can sometimes come on when needed. France play Australia first. Yeah, they could, but France also, it wouldn't surprise me if France dropped points to someone you wouldn't expect. I think France will go through. Everyone always talks about this kind of winner's curse. I think Denmark could top their group, though. That's kind of my take on it. I think France could win their 2 games against the others, but against Denmark, they could fall short. Who do you think is a dark horse in the World Cup? Everyone says Denmark. That's kind of the bandwagon answer. I think dark horse, Switzerland or Serbia. I think they could reach the quarterfinals or semis. So Brazil have a relatively tough group, but they are the best there. They will top it, I think, but it will be challenging, in my opinion. Yes, Affair. I think France, if France finish second and they face Argentina, there's a chance they finish in the round of 16. That's a good point. But at the same time, France have that quality, that individual quality. Benzema, Mbappe, even Giroud off the bench. I think they have those kind of top quality players that can make the difference in the key stages. But when you look at some of their potential starters, like I think it's Fofana in midfield, you're also looking at Rabiot. I don't think they're great players, to be honest. And then you're looking at, their fullbacks. I don't think they're that great. And Pempe could be starting. It should be, for me, Saliba or Konate over them. So yeah, it just depends what France do. But I think they will. I think they'll go quite far. Quarterfinals or beyond, I think will be the case. I'd say semis or final for me, for France, but let's see. Don't really understand how the amount of transfers can impact you. They can't. Don't worry about it. You have unlimited transfers. That's all that needs to be said about it. 40 points, super upsetting. Zaha missed penalty. Half my team were booked, including Pope. And the yellow card was also stupid. Yeah, the penalty miss is obviously frustrating. Zaha is an FPL troll. Now potentially losing 75 million in 75 million. Well, if that was it, you might be very mad there, Matt. £75 in league bets. Don't worry, there will be sunnier days there, mate. Serbia will be dark horses, I think so. If Vlahovic and Mitrovic are fit, and there are reports that Mitrovic has 2 broken bones in his foot, he could miss the game against Brazil. That's a big blow. But if they can get those players in against Brazil, I think they could get a result there. Of course, Switzerland got a draw against Brazil last time out. Senegal could be the dark horse. I think they've got the best chance of any African team, but I think one underrated team is Ecuador. I think Ecuador can go through. Everyone kind of says third or fourth. Yes, Zulu. Max was my mega driver. Don't remind me of that, mate. I had a feeling that something could go wrong here. I did have a feeling. But a collision with Hamilton, I mean, what can you do? It's as simple as that. Sometimes it's how the cookie crumbles. I do slightly regret now not captaining or mega driving him in Japan, where he got 50+ points. But the way I looked at it is if he gets, the first or second here, he easily gets 60, 70 points in this sprint race. And he also tends to do really well in the sprint races with Austria side this season. Let's now go back to your questions. Yes, I'm not so sure what this situation is. Race over, they messed up Perez tyre strategy, had him on mediums with rivals on softs, dropped from 3rd to 7th in the final 5 laps. Another one I have in my F1 fantasy team, Perez. At least he gets the race streak, but yeah, F1 fantasy's in the mud. My kind of differential pick, so to speak, didn't go according to plan. Can you give tips for my team? Says Jack, Pope, Ward, White, Cancelo, Nico, Williams, Saliba, Trippier, Trossard. Basically, I like some of your kind of differential picks like Kulusevski, but Nico Williams, I'd rather go to Patterson, Bueno, or maybe stretch to a Botman, if anything. Yeah, I think your defense is fine as it is. No problems with it. I wouldn't go for White and Saliba, but that's completely fine. It's not a problem. It's completely fine. I just wouldn't do that. Midfield is also looking really good. Is there anyone else I would recommend there? I'd probably look to go for a second premium. You're looking at Kane up front instead of Darwin, potentially. That's kind of my two cents on the matter, because what you said, Trossard, Almiron, Kulusevski, Martinelli, Andreas. I would try to go for a premium midfielder. Maybe sacrifice a Kulusevski if you need to. It's all completely down to you, mate. But basically, Nico Williams is a no-go. That's for sure. And I would go for a second premium if you can, Jack. And Kane, for me, is the best one. I'm sick of players getting booked for diving. Maddison and Cancelo, most recent ones. I'll be honest, I like players being booked for diving, but it's inconsistent. Saka got booked for diving. And to be honest, players have done much worse. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to start arguments and stuff. But there have been much worse examples of diving, and it hasn't been punished. Yes, Afnan. So any types of yellow cards, in terms of players on full yellows, they're still a doubt for the next few weeks. So until Arsenal play their 19th game, Saliba will still be at risk of a suspension. Zulu. Oh, seriously? So what? Verstappen let Perez pass? I mean, that's completely fair enough. It doesn't make a huge difference for me personally, but him being kind of taken out of the race by Hamilton, that obviously made a difference. That was the big decider. Matt, there's literally 2 World Cup fantasy videos already on the channel. Juve versus Lazio, Monaco versus Marseille right now. Yes, I forgot about the Juve Lazio one. I wasn't aware of the other. If you're equal on points, do the amounts of transfers factor in? Oh, yes. But on Unlimited, Yeah, okay, I guess what you mean there. I see what you mean. Yeah, that could be a factor. And also, I saw another thing at the beginning of the season about your team ID being factored in as well. I wouldn't play. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this, but yes, this could be correct. How many people are playing F1 Fantasy? I think over 1 million. So it's a bit similar to UCL Fantasy. White or Botman share Ben White, but I have to say Botman is also a really good choice. Yes, Afnan, like I said, he is also still on full yellows. He's at risk of suspension. Thank you, Jack. What's the best defender for GA? Trippier. It's as simple as that. Right now, it's Kieran Trippier. My draft is Kepa, Trippier, White, Cancelo. Good stuff. Rodrigo, Salah, Martinelli, Almiron, Kane, Jesus, Haaland. I really like it. Yeah, I would go for someone else instead of Jesus. That would be my only advice. I'd say Tony or Mitrovic, but really good squad. I don't really have any problems with it, and it's really similar to what I'm going for. France also played the Aussies in 2018 World Cup and won 2-1 off the back of an 80th minute own goal. That's what I mean. France were actually looking pretty, they weren't convincing in the last World Cup either in the group stages. They actually grew as the tournament went on. And as they faced the bigger opponents, they started to step up a bit. So that's a good point. I think also France, they're very disjointed. So whilst France could smash Australia in Game Week 1, I still think there's a good chance they don't top the group or that they struggle to qualify. Do you think Almiron will keep up his form? I think he will continue to do well, just not at the same rate. That's my opinion. I can see him dropping off and the same X-Man replacing him. I don't think he will be dropped from the lineup. There's a chance of that, of course, but I don't think that will be the case. I think he will drop off slightly, though. I don't see him continuing his purple patch from now. What do you think of Asian teams in this World Cup? Japan have had some decent showings, like in 2014. They could be, quite a nuisance, but I think there's still a long way to go for Asian teams at the moment. I think there is a gulf in quality. They are producing more and more as obviously we're going along. Heung-min Son, of course. Tomiyasu is a good player, but I think there's still a long way to go. Opinions on Luke Shaw? Good choice. He's the best United defender going forwards, but I do prefer Diego Dallo. Thank you, Emma. I appreciate that very much. Is Nunez a person to look out for in Game Week 17? Yes, but I would rather go to Tony, Mitrovic, Kane, and Haaland. And that's what I'm looking to do. I've got Kulusevski in my Game Week 17 draft. I think that's a decent pick. Yeah, of course he's a decent pick. I think he's probably Spurs' second best player at the moment behind Kane. But I am looking elsewhere currently. I think Kane is enough for me. And also Spurs are right down there. I think they're second bottom for the fixture ticker for the next 6-7 game weeks. Group B is interesting. All of them are in the top 20, and with England not really on top form. Yeah, exactly. England have been struggling for quite some time now. And Wales, for example, that's kind of like a derby, you could say. Scotland caused them problems in the Euros last year. So that's a good point. I think England might struggle a little bit compared to what people think. They could struggle to go through, but I think they'll top the group. Thoughts on Akanji? I was asked about him earlier, if he's nailed or not. I think he's a good choice, but I don't see him starting every single game because you've got Laporte back, you've got Stones and Diaz, who most City fans see as the best centre-back partnership. And then you've got Cancelo. What City could do is play Stones as the right-back, of course, play Akanji and Diaz, but not so sure, to be honest with that. I think he's a good choice, but I would rather go elsewhere. What's your prediction for Poland in the World Cup? I think they're going to be a tough team for Argentina. I think they'll finish second or third, and my prediction at the moment is third, but Mexico have also been very shaky over the last year or so as well. Best attacker for 5.7 million. I think Solanke's just above that threshold, unfortunately for you. You're not really looking at much there. I'd actually rather just go for a Greenwood, go for a complete budget option and invest in the rest of your squad, which is what I'm looking to do. I have the same points as my competitor in the Cup. What should happen? Sagar, I think it was, that covered it earlier, or someone else covered it. So basically, it then goes down to goals scored in your team, then down to goals conceded, and then to a virtual coin toss. Garnacho, good shout as a budget option, yes, but I wouldn't want to start him most weeks. Kane or KDB for second premium? I'd say Kane. He's more consistent. Should I do Saliba to White so I can bring in Dallo? I probably would. I have to say, look, Saliba, if budget isn't an issue, I think he is a better option than White. He'll get more points. But if you really want Dallo, I'd go for it. No, I don't think Cancelo's a must-have, honestly. I don't think he is. The only defender that's a must-have for me is Trippier. Yeah, Mitrovic is on full yellow, so I wouldn't go there. Tony, bad first fixtures. Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. But they're still there for the long run, and you can sometimes bench them, although, as you saw with Tony today, even with a fixture as difficult as City, he has delivered. So I don't think fixtures should be the be-all and end-all. I think Tony would be my preference of the two right now. And Mitrovic is struggling with injury problems. He's going to the World Cup as well. You have to scrap some results in order to win tournaments, just like France against Belgium. Of course, there's so many examples. You know, even Germany, when they destroyed Brazil, they had games like Algeria where they were lucky to go through. They struggled to Ghana. They drew 2-2. Sometimes you have these off games. Spain lost to Switzerland in the opening game, and they won 2008 Euros, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euros. There's so many examples over the years to really count. So I do agree with him. Yeah, Belgium completely dominated the semi-final. They should have probably won, but that's what it is sometimes, just being more decisive in the clinical, or more clinical and decisive in those important moments. Kane or Salah for a third premium? Kane. I prefer Kane. Nunez and Fernandes for World Cup fantasy? Nunez, potentially. He'd be the one I'd look at. Fernandes, no. Fernandes typically struggles with Ronaldo. You see it in United now, and also in Portugal. Fernandes doesn't have a great record there, and Portugal are quite a disjointed team. So whilst they have a good matchday one fixture, I believe, I still wouldn't be too sure. I think Uruguay could be the favourites there to top the group. I think they're a kind of overlooked team. I'd actually rather go to Cancelo, or maybe the defensive assets for Portugal, rather than the attackers. I'm going for Maddison over Saka in Game Week 17. Yeah, I would do the same thing, mate, despite the fixtures being better for Arsenal. What's your prediction for Germany in the World Cup? Germany are always, you know, the kind of kryptonite of teams like Argentina, but I think Germany will reach the quarterfinals or semis. I don't think they go all the way. So, a bit like France. I think France reached the semi-final or final, but don't win it. I think Germany reached the quarters or semis. What's the best 2 or 3 premiums? Haaland, Kane, and one of Salah or De Bruyne. I would say Salah right now. Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe in World Cup Fantasy Premium Team. And you can also play the 12th man to bring one of these players in, but you can't captain, substitute, or transfer them out. With Nkunku potentially coming to Chelsea in January, do you think he might be a great FPL asset? I wouldn't go anywhere near Chelsea at the moment, apart from James and Kepa. I wouldn't go for the attackers, and Nkunku might take a while to settle in the team. Check. Oh, I thought you said Verstappen let him through. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, not the greatest teammate, let's put it that way. Great driver, not the greatest teammate. Welcome, Adam. You had to buy Isak now because he's going to be fully fit. He's going to score so many goals. I disagree. Like, he's a good choice, don't get me wrong. You might be onto something, but is he going to start every single game? You know, you got Callum Wilson there. He's been doing a good job. I'd rather go to Almiron, Trippier, Pope, Botman. I think that's kind of where I'm looking at with Newcastle. Who do you think could be one of the pre-tournament favourites that will get knocked out from the group stage? Great question. I know some people said Brazil because they've got 2 dark horses. You know, don't underestimate Serbia and Switzerland. But I would probably say... That's a great question. I think Netherlands go through. I think France go through still. Argentina, Brazil, yeah. Germany. I think one of Germany or Spain, potentially, because they have kind of another heavyweight in their team, in their group, so to speak. They could be another one. So Germany or Spain. I don't see Spain going out. If anything, Germany being knocked out back-to-back in group stages. That's a tough question, mate. It really is. I'm trying to think of anyone. No, I don't think so. I don't think there will be one. If I had to pick one... Oddly enough, I may say France, and that's mainly because of the World Cup curse, but I don't think that'll be the case. Yeah, I was kind of gutted that you didn't beat Germany in 2014, but there you go. Is it better to have 2 or 3 premiums? It all depends on what you do with the extra money if you go for 2, but I'm going for 3 at the moment. I think either's fine. I wouldn't go for 4. Does Qatar have a chance to make it? Yeah, South Korea 2002 scandal, don't get me started on that. That World Cup was very corrupt, but... Look, yeah, I think it's possible. I think Qatar could have the officials on side, of course. That's always a kind of a possibility. Brazil had it against Croatia in matchday 1 of 2014. Many top nations have had it with home advantage. So yeah, you could be right. I think Qatar could still pose a good threat anyway, even without the refs. 12th man must be in my squad or from outside my squad. It'll be outside your squad. So it's just the 12th man for 1 week. You can't sub, transfer, or captain them. Which one do you pick? Jesus or Rashford? Probably Rashford because of the fixtures. Belgium, says Safir. Yeah, I mean, I think Croatia could top their group, so that could be a shout. Do you have Netherlands going far? I think quarterfinals is my prediction. I think in my prediction they face Argentina. Yeah, I think quarterfinals. But look, Netherlands, they are one of the very best World Cup nation. They are the best nation not to have won the World Cup in terms of football. Belgium or Portugal? Yeah, that could be a shout. I was thinking of Portugal, but I think Uruguay might top the group, but Portugal still finish second. I don't see them being knocked out. It's possible, but I still think they'll go through. They have enough quality. My draft: Pope, Ward, Cancelo, Trippier, Gabriel, Nico, Dallo, KDB, Almiron. My issue with that is Nico Williams. I'd go for Patterson or maybe Bueno or maybe stretch to a Botman. I don't think I'd go for Nico Williams. So what you could do is Gabriel down to White and then go from Nico Williams up to Botman, and that's fine. The rest of your team is looking great. I would personally go for a premium like Salah or Harry Kane instead of going for KDB and Haaland personally, Afnan, but it's completely up to you. My main concern there is Nico Williams, and I'd do what I just said. Maybe Gabriel down to White if you need the funds, Nico up to Botman. Gameweek 16 is hell for us FPL nerds and a celebration for casuals. Do you agree? You could say that about any game week, though, and it's all circumstantial because some of us may have that kind of one player like Odegaard who, you might have backed to do well and he ended up getting a massive haul. I do get your point of view, but you could say that about the whole season, not just Game Week 16 specifically. I think Real Madrid will win. They are, obviously, the Champions League is their competition. Liverpool are the best from England in terms of the Champions League, but yeah, I think Madrid win it. They have the better team. Should I go from De Bruyne to Maddison or get Kane in for Jesus? Remember, you have unlimited transfers, Matthew. You could do both. I'm guessing you know that already. But I would do that. Kane and Maddison over Jesus and De Bruyne. Yes. PSG versus Bayern. Oddly enough, I think PSG have a good chance. My main concern with them is the defense. I think Bayern, they're not the greatest defensively, but they are better than PSG in that regard. At the moment, I have a sneaky feeling about PSG, but Bayern are definitely the favourites, no doubt about it. How to activate the booster? I can't find any option. The website is still updating, so be aware of that. Maybe tomorrow you'll be able to. Do you think Trossard is better than Rashford in FPL? Yes, I do. Not by much, but I think he is. Thank you, Ahmad. I appreciate it. England versus Iran prediction. I could see Taremi scoring. He's been in incredible form for Porto, but I think England win. I might go for a 2-1 England or 3-1. That's my prediction right now. I might change my mind in a week's time or something. Thank you, Ahmed. I appreciate it. I disagree, but thank you. Thoughts on James for Game Week 17? Like I said, I prefer to cover Chelsea defensively with Kepa. Much more safer because he's way cheaper. Spending 6 million on a defender from Chelsea right now just doesn't seem worth it, even for him. Arsenal, Liverpool. For what, though? I think Arsenal finish above Liverpool, if that's what you're asking, and I think they are the better team right now, and it's my club, so I'm naturally going to say Arsenal anyway, even if Liverpool are better, which I don't think is the case right now. Morocco played really well in 2018, yeah. Drew of Spain lost narrowly to Portugal, but they dominated Portugal. The result would have been different. That's true. And also, look, we have to be honest, the kind of big nations sometimes do get favoured by refs. The same goes for big clubs in the Premier League and Champions League, etc. That is a good point. I forgot about the 2018 World Cup. I think it was quite a forgettable one for me. I prefer the 2010, 2014 ones, even 2006. But yeah, Morocco were pretty good, actually. I do remember that. Downgrade Pope to Sanchez and White for Nico? No. I wouldn't do that. I advise everyone not to do transfers now just in case of tie points as a disadvantage. You build a draft on other sites. Yeah, fair enough, Ayub. That is a good point. I've already made my transfers, so yeah, maybe it is the wrong call, but I think it will be very close to what I end up doing in Game Week 17 anyway, so at the moment doesn't seem too bad, but it could be a problem. So good advice there, Ayub. I used my triple captain this week because I had a bet with my brother. Yeah, I was asked about Haaland triple captaincy this week, and I said I'd save it for a double game week or when Haaland has a better fixture on paper. I never expected a 1-pointer though. Best defender for 6 million and under? Kieran Trippier. I hate to say it. I think he's 6 million. Yep. Kieran Trippier is the easy one. He is by far the best option in the game. I would say Robertson right now. Good news for Argentina. Di Maria on the bench for Juve. Yes, and Lautaro and Messi went through their games unscathed today. Dybala came off the bench and changed the game for Roma and won a penalty as they drew to Torino. There is some good news for Argentina, but the blow is Lo Celso. He's a huge miss. and the likes of Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, or Palacios really need to step up. Whoever comes to replace him, which I think will be one of those three, like for like. Okay, bye-bye. Just dealt with the spammers. Salah or Nunez? Salah. What do you think of Southgate's final team choice? I'm not an England fan, just to make that very clear, but I think Tony was a mistake. I said this yesterday as well before he scored twice against City. That was a mistake. I would have gone for him, Wilson, and Harry Kane. You know, you can go for free forwards and give yourself different options up front. Tony's a great penalty taker as well. You never know how important that can, you know, it could play a huge part in a shootout or maybe in extra time. You would say, oh, Kane would take it anyway, but Tony is an even better penalty taker in my opinion. How did Robertson get 1 bonus point when he got 2 assists? It's because he conceded, and then you've got Nunez scoring twice. I think Robertson probably deserved more, but I think the bonus point system generally needs an overhaul. I think there's more to it than goals, assists. There's also performances we need to think about. Who thought Costa Rica would top the group of England, Italy, Uruguay? Exactly. That's one of the best examples, I think, in recent history. Everyone said, oh, it'll be England, Italy, Uruguay in that order. No, it'll be Italy, England, da-da-da. No one said Costa Rica, and they topped the group. That's one of the best stories. And they also were very unlucky not to reach the semi-final. And there they would have faced Argentina. I mean, what a story that would have been. Best differential defender for 6 million and under. Oh, differential. Okay, sorry. Differential. We can cover that. So let me just bring up the page. I'm going to select the ownership. I think I said someone earlier. I'm pretty sure I said Botman, 2.2% ownership. So that would be my answer. If you want someone else, Timothy Castagna is your man. So yeah, those would be my 2 picks. I'll see if there's anyone else, but I don't think that's the case. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with one of them. Maybe Robertson. If you really are backing Liverpool with those fixtures, Robertson. So my final answer is one of Botman or Robertson as your differential defender. Oh, okay, actually, no, Dylan, under 6 million. Okay, not Robertson. Forget that. Botman or Castagna. That's my final answer. I think those are pretty good. Looking for the list, not really too impressed with the rest. Sure, maybe. Not a bad option, but yeah, you got my answer there. It's all there. Prices don't change over the break, right? Exactly. So you don't need to make transfers right now. I would just leave it right now. Filigrue Tony. I don't think that's the only mistake, but that's the biggest one. I would have called up Tomori because I do think he's better than the likes of Maguire and stuff. But I do also understand why Southgate has gone for the likes of Maguire, because he's got that group formed from years, and it's good to build that chemistry. And Maguire has that experience. So I do understand it's not just about, oh, who's better, who's higher rated on FIFA. There's more to it than that. But I think Tomori's a better defender. He can play in the back three. He's quicker. He's stronger. Maybe in the air he's not as good, but he's a better defender, despite how poor he was against Chelsea. Any thoughts on the Max and Checo incident? I didn't see it personally, but I heard about Max not letting him through. I think he should have let him through. I mean, I don't like team orders in general, but Max has already won the championship, and you know, Perez, this could be the difference between him finishing second or third, and yeah, he should have let him through. Tayo, I support Argentina because it's my family's country, so, and I've got dual nationality, so that's what I'll say on that. Arsenal have strong defence right now. That's why I have Saliba and Gabriel. Yeah, that's completely fine. And that's why I said it's not a big issue. You know, I'm kind of nitpicking. I don't like going for 2 defenders from the same club unless, you know, it's kind of like real budget and you can kind of rotate them sometimes. I might be, you could say, hypocritical here because I actually like the idea of Botman and Trippier as a double up. And this is also another good example. You could also say Cancelo and Akanji. But look, it's completely fair enough. I think Arsenal, like you said, they've got the most clean sheets in away games as well. They've been incredible. The most clean sheets of any team alongside Newcastle. You will see that Rokugu in the best unlimited teams or the best unlimited transfers video. Yes, I covered that as well. The World Cup injuries, though, you can't predict them. Plus, the likes of James Chill will be popular in 17. Yeah, of course. But at the moment, I don't want to go anywhere near Chilwell or James, and obviously things can change. Remember Italy coming 4th in a group featuring Slovakia, Paraguay, and New Zealand? Oh yes, and they were the reigning World Cup champions, and that's what I mean about the World Cup curse. 2006, Italy win it. 2010, they get knocked out in the groups. 2010, Spain win it. 2014, knocked in the groups. Germany, same thing. I mean, for Germany, the most consistent nation in World Cups, other than Brazil, for them to be knocked out in the group stages, that's quite a big thing. Then you obviously could have France this time round, which would be good. Would it be worth getting Garnacho? As a budget option, yes, but not someone you want to rely on in terms of starting. Yeah, and will he get more game time? Yes. He's not going to start every game, though. I disagree, Alex. I think, yes, when you look at it in terms of, meriting that spot from what he's done this season, no. He's only played one Premier League game, but Phillips was also England's player of the tournament last year, and he also, let's say, for example, Rice is injured or you need another defensive midfielder. Phillips is the best one for that role, so I do disagree with you in that one. I hope Coutinho really comes back strong under Emery. It's possible, but I'm mainly looking at Bailey. I think he could be the new Dan Juma, so to speak, for Emery. Acuna injured. I think there were reports that he's injured, but then I saw something about him just having some kind of specific issue, but he should be fine. He's already been let go by Sampaoli, so let's see if he's fine. Hopefully he is, because Argentina already have a major injury, and Acuna is technically first choice. And he's been injured for quite some time, actually. He just came back, I think, like a month or two ago. Defender from weak team is not good for every -1 every goal conceded. We covered this in the World Cup fantasy videos, and that's why I'm looking to go for the very best nations and defenses, and also looking at the fixtures. Any player that can bring in for Trossard? Maddison. I'd say Maddison. Italy 2010 must be the worst showing when it comes to defending champions. Yeah, it's right up there. I was very young when that World Cup was on, but I remember when Argentina were knocked out, I didn't say I would support Spain, but they had a lot of my favourite players, and I thought they would win it. I was convinced they were the best team in the world at the time, of course. Shaw and Dallas a double up? No chance. That is definitely one I wouldn't go for. Saliba, Gabriel, fine. Botman, Trippier, fine. United double up? No. I think one's enough. France coming fourth in a group of South Africa, Mexico, Uruguay in 2010. Yes. We were on about kind of reigning champions, but I do get your point. France is another one, weren't they? They won the World Cup in 98. They got knocked out in the groups in 2002. And they also won the Euros in 2000. So, yeah, the World Cup curse is quite strong. The only one to kind of beat it is Brazil. And they got knocked out in the quarters, which is very early for them. Sebastian will be covering this very, very soon. Maybe in the next few days. Yes, I think Uruguay are one of the dark horses. The thing is, though, they have 2 World Cups to the name. They have more trophies than Brazil on the international stage. So they are still they're a powerhouse in world football, believe it or not. Even though most of their trophies, you could say, are in, 100 years ago or whatever. But yeah, they're a good team. Do you play Championship Fantasy? No, I don't. France are more talented than Italy 2010 and Germany 2014. Unpopular opinion, I think Germany 2014 is better than France 2018. I think Germany were a better team. I could never see France beating Brazil, despite how bad Brazil were in that moment, 7-1 in their own patch. I think Germany were the best. Apart from Spain in 2010, they are probably, they're one of the best kind of World Cup winners this century. They were lucky in the final, yes, but they still won it. Argentina defenders for the World Cup fantasy. Ignore Lisandro Martinez. He doesn't start. He's 6 million. That would be a waste. It's Otamendi and Romero as the starting centre backs. I'd go for Otamendi. And also to cover their defence, I'd go for Emi Martinez in goal. In terms of a starting 11 for Argentina, it's always the same. So Martinez in goal, Molina as the right back, but sometimes it's Montiel. The left back's another area where it could also change, so it's between Acuna and Tagliafico. First choice at the moment, really, is Acuna and Molina. Centre backs are Romero and Otamendi. The midfielders, as always, Paredes, Lo Celso and De Paul. Lo Celso's injured for this World Cup, unfortunately, so now it's going to be between Enzo Fernandez, McAllister or Palacios potentially to fill in for Lo Celso. Then it's Messi, Di Maria, Lautaro Martinez. That is the first choice 11. Sometimes Gonzalez comes in for Di Maria, but most of the core is the same. Martinez, Messi start every game. Same goes for Romero, Otamendi, Martinez in goal. And then you're looking at Paredes and De Paul, and obviously Lo Celso normally. Your World Cup prediction, like I said, I think Argentina or Brazil win it. I'm hoping for Argentina to win it. I hope Brazil don't, but for me, they're the 2 favourites and the 2 best teams right now. But remember, in a World Cup, it's not just about who's the best team. It's about who turns up for these 7 games, and you also need a lot of luck in these crucial moments. Best 8 million midfielder option? Foden. That would be my answer, Matthew. I'd hope Cancelo, Ben White, Trippier, Martinelli, Salah, Trossard. Really good stuff, Jackson. 72 points as well. Some great picks in there. Enjoy it. Argentina made the World Cup final in 86 and 90. No curse back then. But the thing with the curse is it's more recent, you know, since 98, really. So apart from Brazil, who still got knocked out quite early for their standards, every single nation that's won it since 98 has been knocked out in the group stages in the following tournament. I don't think that'll be the case for France, though. I think it's Argentina-Denmark in the final. I'm trying to think of this because... Oh, so you think Argentina and Denmark top their groups? And yeah, I mean, I don't think Denmark reached the final, but I could see them reaching the quarters or semis. Is it a matter of time before the World Cup curse ends? I don't think France retain it. They have a chance, by the way, but I don't think they will. I think they will go quite far, and that technically breaks the curse. Dalot or Botman? I would say Dalot, and the only reason why is because you probably have Trippier already. And I'd rather kind of differentiate things like that. However, if you don't have Trippier or you just want one defender, who's better? I think Botman. He gets more clean sheets. He'll get more points in general. Will Almiron keep his place when everyone's 100% fit? Why would Almiron be benched, though? He's literally one player of the month for the whole league. I just don't see that happening. If he loses form and he, you know, other circumstances happen, then yes, of course he could lose his spot at some point, but I just don't see it happening at the moment. I still prefer Casemiro because the Port is a jack of all trades. He's the engine of the Argentina team. He makes the passes. What the Port have over Casemiro is key passes. You obviously get a point for every 2 key passes made. And he's also more likely to get attacking returns, although it's still not that likely. But Casemiro will make more tackles. I would rather go for Casemiro, I think. Only reason Messi doesn't have a World Cup is Higuain and Palacio. To be fair, though, I mean, look... This is an unpopular opinion as well, but Higuain also scored the goal that got Argentina to their first World Cup semi-final in 24 years. So, yes, you can say what you want about Higuain, but he also scored some crucial goals in the quarters and semis. The big problem with him is in the finals he did crumble. Yes, he did, but Messi missed a chance as well. You can't just blame one player. Argentina were the better team on the day, and Germany were a great team, by the way, but Argentina were better on the day. They didn't take their chances. Germany punished them. It's as simple as that, and that's how football is. At the top level, you don't take your chances. The opposition will make you pay, basically. No, thank you. You're the reason why I'm earning so many points and having so much fun. Your channel is honestly... Thank you very much, Jackson. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you very much. Spain 2010... Sorry, I'll get to the other question later. Spain 2010 or Brazil 2002? I'd say Spain 2010. Brazil had more world-class players or more players of like an absolutely ridiculous level. You know, Ronaldo, one of the best strikers of all time. Obviously, Ronaldinho, one of the best wingers of all time. So many great players. Kaká in his early days. It's just great players everywhere. Cafu, one of the best right-backs ever. But I think Spain were a better team. They played better football. They were more convincing. And also think about Spain. They won the Euros back-to-back and they won a World Cup. So 3 trophies out of a possible 3 in 4 years. I think that's incredible. I think Spain. What do you think of Aston Villa midfielders considering how they're playing with Mr. Good? I think Bailey's the best choice. I wouldn't really go for anyone else. I think there will be so much inconsistency and the goals will be spread between Jacob Ramsey, maybe McGinn, the odd kind of occasion as well. So Bailey is my pick there. Argentina-Spain final. Yeah, I think Spain do like that clinical finisher, but Spain, in terms of their midfield and their technical ability, they're one of the very best in the World Cup for sure. Rodrigo or Rashford? I think Rodrigo, I mean, he's been better so far. But with the fixtures in mind, I'd go for Rashford. Argentina would have won in 2014 with Tevez. Palacio and Higuain bottled it. Yes, maybe, but Tevez also had a very poor international record. He actually scored like 13 goals in 70 games, and Higuain, at the time especially, he had an incredible record for Argentina. So, yes, I agree, they did bottle it, but you could also say Messi did with his chance as well, so it's all relative. Portugal qualified for the World Cup only 3 times before Ronaldo made his debut. Yes, obviously, Ronaldo has had a huge impact, but let's not forget, Portugal have produced some amazing players before. Eusebio is one of the very best players of all time as well. Let's not forget that. But obviously CR7 is kind of a different level, especially in terms of, you know, he's the most known footballer for sure. So, yeah, he's made a huge impact. He's obviously... He might be a hindrance now for Portugal, you could say, but there's no doubt over the last 10 years or so, he has helped Portugal win what they've done. If Di Maria was fit against Germany, Argentina would have won. I agree, but even without Di Maria, Argentina should have won. They didn't. It's as simple as that. Most underrated differential cheap asset in World Cup Fantasy. We'll be covering that in the World Cup Fantasy videos, but consider Araujo, Borna Sosa in defense. We'll see what price Martinez is in goal. If he's 5 million for Argentina, I know he's not cheap, but you know that's a really good value. Midfield, there's quite a lot of decent picks. De Paul, Casemiro, and there's also a few others that I'm going to be talking about very, very soon. Spain wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for Pep's Barcelona. I agree. Del Bosque obviously took huge inspiration from that, but then you could also say about 2008 Euros. You know, Spain won that convincingly, 2012 as well. So Spain do deserve credit. Would have been fun to see Almiron continue his form with Paraguay, but they aren't there. Oh yeah, Paraguay, yeah. That I remember that match, David Villa scoring the goal. And also Paraguay the following year reached the Copa America final against Uruguay in Argentina. So yeah, Paraguay, they're actually a really difficult team to play against, and they're one of my... I do dislike them, actually, in terms of whenever we come up against them. So many draws. Who do you think will win Champions League, says Tor? At the moment, I think Real Madrid. The way I rank it is Real Madrid first, City second, Bayern third, PSG fourth. Which is ironic because I do slightly, in the kind of matchup, I do slightly favour PSG, so I might switch that round. If Neymar wins the World Cup, the streets win. If Messi wins the World Cup, football wins. If it's anyone else, then that's bummy. I can't have Neymar winning the World Cup. No disrespect to him, nothing against him, but as an Argentina fan, Brazil winning it, no chance. Obviously, there's a mutual respect, but I can never, ever support Brazil winning a World Cup. It's like Spurs winning the Champions League or Prem. It's a no-go for me. Do you think Odegaard is a trap? Good point. This is what I've always said with Odegaard. Martinelli and Saka are far more consistent, but what Odegaard does is he has these kind of games like Bournemouth, like Wolves, where he just gets these huge returns and in the end he just has the same amount of points basically. I don't think he's a trap, but he's not my favourite asset. I would rather go for consistent players, and with Odegaard as well, I mean, also it's a tricky one because against Bournemouth and Wolves, where he got two huge hauls, he basically took the ball from Saka, and, you know, it's kind of fine margins when it comes down to this. You're asking me personally for my opinion. He's not a trap, but I still prefer Saka and Martinelli. Odegaard versus West Ham or Trossard versus Leeds? Trossard, but Leeds are a good team. Thank you, Ayub. Obviously, there are 2 videos out on the channel already, and we'll have more videos soon. Yeah, thank you, Ayub, and thank you, Superstar, for dealing with that. How far will USA go in the World Cup? I think they go to the next round. Obviously, it's kind of difficult because Iran have a chance, and you've also got Wales, but I think USA go through, but they'll get knocked down in the round of 16. That's my prediction at the moment. I could change that. USA getting KO'd by the... Okay, let's calm down. What do you think about 48-team World Cup? I think it's too much. In my opinion, there is an imbalance between Europe and the world. So in South America, yes, there's only 10 nations, but only 5 go through. That makes those qualifiers the most difficult in the world, in my opinion, because, you know, even Argentina or Brazil with an off year, they can struggle to qualify. They technically always do, but there's always kind of a scare. Argentina had in 2018. You know, you've got one of Colombia, Ecuador, Chile, Venezuela, Peru, Paraguay, etc. All of them could have a team that could do decent in a World Cup, and most of them don't make it. So yeah, I do like the fact that it includes more nations, but at the same time, I think it's too much. It's more games. World Cup, the only reason why FIFA are doing it is for more money. It's as simple as that. Oh, thank you. I wasn't actually aware of that. We do play on Wednesday, actually. So that was a correction to what I told you yesterday. We play on Wednesday. So then there's like a week break before the next game. If Argentina, you know, remain unbeaten against United Arab Emirates and also against Saudi Arabia, they equal the all-time unbeaten record of Italy. And then against Mexico, they could break the new record to 38. But let's wait and see. It's going to be a very interesting World Cup, that's for sure. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, by the way. It has been an interesting one, actually. The last hour has gone very quickly. I think we were close to ending the stream like 40, 50 minutes ago, but the chat has been great. Thank you very much. This is the last FPL stream for quite some time, and there could be an unlimited transfer/team video very, very soon for FPL, where I cover what I currently have and what I would recommend to all of you as well. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also become a patron or a channel member. The links are in the description below. The same goes for the Discord server and the FPL League. All of that is there. So thank you very much for all your support, and also consider becoming a member and patron, because you do get exclusive access to videos, very early access sometimes, and you also get a lot of other perks as well. But yeah, if there's any more questions or stuff, we'll answer it very quickly, and then we'll go. But thank you to everyone. It's been a blast, and I wish you all the very best of luck for match day 17 or game week 17, but we have a long break now. Enjoy it, and we're going to be going to World Cup Fantasy and UCL Fantasy in February, of course, but World Cup Fantasy is the focus right now, and there'll also be some FPL content. Take care, and I wish you all the very best.